Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else in between, it's episode 91. It's actually episode 90. We skipped 89 because I can't count. It's episode 91 of the Broke Boy Sports Podcast, and we've decided to name this one Cap Clout. Cap with a K. If you've been paying attention to sports this week, you know exactly why, but we'll let the people who are unindoctrinated know as well. And when I say we, I mean my co host, the Martin Pape. What's up, Martin?
What is up? What is up? Early, what is it? Early bird gets the worm. We're going early today because we've got the NFL kicking off. I've got a cup of coffee in my hand. This is normally the Martin waking up hours, 3:30 in the afternoon. That's what being
That
a
gives
broke
you a
boy will do
glimpse.
to you, dude.
And that's the glimpse that you've all been waiting for to see into the lives of what it's like to be an illustrious and elite level podcaster who does have an advertiser who actually got a lot of money on the line this week. If you want to steal some of it, Thrive Fantasy, they got their props up. They got the touchdown only games going on. They've got over-unders, and they also have like the individual prop competition. You pick like a couple of prop bets, and based off how many you select correctly, you get like a certain amount of points, and you get money out of a giant pot of it. And it's pretty dope because our $20 bonus thing is now a 100% match up to $250, Martin. So if you type in the promo code BrokeBoy, when you put your first deposit in on Thrive Fantasy, they actually match it 100% up to $250. So use that code and get you some free money, and then take some of Thrive's money.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
Ashton,
saying.
I'm trying to get in on the Chiefs versus Texans action tonight. There's a couple of good props on there. I'm gonna won't spoil it for the people that are gonna download and go use that code BrokeBoy. But Chiefs versus Texans, it could either, for me, it's gonna go one of two ways. The Texans are gonna come out with a little redemption factor after blowing the 24-0 lead last year, or the Chiefs, they're just gonna come out and start the steam rolling early, if you know what I'm saying.
And shout out to everybody out there who's been checking us out on stream, man. We actually had, what is it? We got 2 new followers. We were at 14 or 15 or something like
We're
that.
up
Now we're
to
at 17.
Yeah, we're at 17. We had a follower yesterday. Redface3 gave us a follow, so shout out to Redface for that. But yeah, we're slowly moving on up. Our next goal is to hit 50. So let your friends know, let your family know. We're here, we're live, and we're brought to
Let your
you.
enemies know as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. Let everybody
I
know.
mean, they're your enemies, but we can still make money off of
Yeah.
them. Anyway, we move on here, Martin, to the question that has really been perplexing the world, in particular America. What's popping in quarantine, man? You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You got the better one this week. You got the good stuff.
All right. Here we go. Starting from the top. I know you guys have been waiting all day, really all week. Shout out to everybody who's joining us at this earlier time. If you followed me on Twitter and on Instagram at the Ashton Forever, I let everybody know. You can guess as to why we're not starting the podcast at 7 o'clock
Yep.
today. It's because we don't have time to waste with you guys. There's literally football, which is the equivalent of 100% Peruvian cocaine to us. And I'm trying to make sure that my nose collapses in tonight. So,
Mina Kimes had a great tweet earlier. She said it was a GIF video. It said me and NFL Twitter getting ready for tonight's game once kickoff happens, and it's a video of the Penguins slowly just
oh
walking
yeah,
all the Penguins coming out the door and slowly walking down the stairs. I'm gonna be one of those Penguins in line. Ashton probably as well. We're gonna be tweeting. You can follow both of us at our names right above us in the boxes there. I'm at Martin Pape _. He is at FB_playbook. You can also follow the show at Broke Boy Pod on Twitter. We're on Twitch right now. We're on YouTube. We're doing it's going well, Ashton. But this what's been popping for you?
I mean, things have been going well up until they weren't. That's usually how it goes, right? Like everything's good until it's not. What's popping in quarantine? Pillow talk and kink shaming. Apparently, I didn't know we had to go over this lesson once again, guys. But apparently, we need to teach this. How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? Twitter out here. Anyway, I'm assuming if you're tuned into this sports podcast and in some way, shape, or form, you've heard what's been going on. A podcast that goes by the name of Thoughts Next Door, which you guessed it, it's featuring women who specialize in the hoe life, which hey, do what you want to do, dog. If that's how you want to get down, if you want to have cool stories to tell, which apparently, based off of what's been happening on that podcast lately, they got plenty of stories to tell. So there are three women, and I think there's two that are the regular host, and one of them was a guest on, and I can't remember whose baby mama she is. I think it's Chief Keef.
I
Anyway,
think someone said Chief Keef or
yeah, I think it's Chief Keef. If you don't know who he is a musician. He's a musician rapper out of the South Side of Chicago. He is at one point dubbed by Kanye West to be the next big thing in rap. He has an iconic song by the name of Love Sosa, which I mean, you don't have to be a drug dealer or an arms dealer. You don't have to be a gangster to really rock out to that song, man, because it slaps. I don't know.
yeah, it's a good one.
It fucking slaps. I don't know what to tell you, man. If you can't get down with that, you can't get down with this podcast, I would imagine. But you still should try and check it out. Chief Keef is a deplorable human being on many levels, but he knows how to make some bangers. There's no question about that. Anyway, his baby mama went on a podcast called Thoughts Next Door, hosted. The podcast is hosted by another podcast, which I'm assuming makes it a podcast network now, called No
Yep.
Jumper, which specializes in interviews with rappers from all over the industry. Really good interviews, as a matter of fact, all over the industry that gives like the real perspective on like where guys are coming from. Hosted by a guy named Adam 22. If you guys saw a couple of weeks ago the incident where a young lady went on the show and talked about the Suns incident where she was having sex with somebody on the Suns team. It sounded like it wasn't even a player that she was having sex with on her birthday, but she ended up giving blowjobs to like 7 other dudes on the team. And then in the comments, she revealed it was the Phoenix Suns. And apparently Devin Booker went first. Is that what it was,
I
Martin?
think
Is
so.
that
I
what
think
the
that's what it was. We still haven't really that the kind of it was one of those stories where it came and it went and we didn't hear anything after it went out of the news cycle. Um, for me, this podcast, uh, I don't.
So she was on No Jumper, and
Yeah,
then this happened on Thoughts Next Door, right?
yeah,
Like Adam said that he felt like there was a market, and not even a market, because I listened to it. So if you want to get a deeper perspective, they actually talked to the guy who runs No Jumper, the podcast, and on another podcast that I mentioned on here last week, I believe it was, and it's Higher Learning, which is a podcast hosted by The Ringer with Van Lathan from TMZ, the guy who Kanye West got into an argument with on the TMZ show, like legit, like yelled and screamed at or whatever in the middle of the TMZ offices, and also Rachel Lindsay, who is a former bachelorette, the first black bachelorette in the history of that show. But anyway, they talked to Adam 22 about like why he gives them a platform, what his platform is, and how he is in control of like what a lot of people who listen and consume hip hop and rap really get down with, and what information they do and don't have, because he talks about certain things that he sees. He talked about a rapper that was murdered, I want to say last year, and he knew multiple rappers that were like literally clowning about him getting killed in the streets on some gang shit or whatever. And it was just a whole conversation about the kind of power that he has in the industry, despite being a white man who profits heavily off of the black community and what it produces art wise and what it produces in terms of drama as well. But he gave a platform to these young ladies. One of them revealed at some point during the podcast that Odell Beckham Jr. specifically likes her to be unclean, in terms of like he told her not to take a shower for 24 hours, according to this woman. And he also has a scat fetish, which, if you know, for the unindoctrinated, scat is the medical term for poop, right? He
yep.
likes to be pooped on. And I just wanted to go out here and point out a couple of things about this situation. Do you, Odell Beckham Jr.? It can't be me, man. I'm not that guy. That's a group of guys. That's a part of Twitter, Martin. Let's be honest. There's a part of Twitter I've never even knew existed, but I have no question whatsoever in my heart. I know it does somewhere out there. Of course, most people's contact with the scat fetish is 2 girls, 1 cup. Which, by the way, do you, dog? If that's your jam,
Oh my
you do
god.
you, fam.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's your problem. Everybody pictures the poop when I talk about it, and
No, it's
I
the
don't.
2
That's
girls,
why I
1
don't.
cup that I'm yakking at.
Yeah,
Like
two
that
girls,
is
one cup
that.
was a lot. Two
I
girls, one
still
cup was a
remember
lot.
like where I was and everything with that one. That was like one of the first ever viral videos, but this one doesn't really make sense to me.
my point was on this. So I was gonna say, like, there's a couple things to take away from this. God damn, the price for trusting the wrong person is
True.
super high when you're famous, because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of dudes who were sorry, hold on a second. I don't think that was the Rona.
There's a
There's
too
plenty
weak
of
of a sneeze for a Rona.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Away from the microphone, important in case it is, so it doesn't stick in my microphone. But anyway, I would say the price of trusting somebody is like way too fucking high, and to be betrayed like that, like instantaneously on a podcast, right? Like a podcast that like a lot of people weren't listening to
Mm-hmm.
until she said something on a live stream, right?
Yep.
And it's just rough to think about that being your existence, because most people don't talk about their sex life at all. As a matter of fact, there's people who will literally fight you than rather talk about what they do when they have sex, right? And for the, like, let's be for real, most of y'all out here having some basic ass sex. Let's be for real. There's
Missionary is the
people.
only position some people know, Ashton, and there ain't
That's what I'm
nothing
saying.
wrong with
So
it.
I'm just saying, man, you hit guys, guys and gals. This is why core is important. Sex is why core is important. Make sure you don't skip core day. It's really important to your sex life as a whole. It helps your hips, all kinds of stuff like that, man. You'd be amazed what you do if you only just hit core like 3 days a week. Anyway, other stuff. Just Odell Beckham Jr. being betrayed like that, that's fucked up. Like, hands down whatsoever. I get it. Some of y'all like to make jokes and all that kind of stuff. Guess what? Like, some people are into scat fetishes, and I get it. Like, that's just how it is. Some of y'all are like 12 years old. If you have more interest in the scat fetish, Martin, I didn't put this in the document because I wanted to freak you out here. I've told you guys already, I listened to the Pornhub podcast, which is actually really insightful because, like, once again, it's a podcast. Like, it's not them moaning into the microphone or anything. It's literally them talking about, like, the mental psyche and mental fortitude and, like, the mental pathway you have to get on to go to certain fetishes, right? And one of them is one interview is with the dominatrix, who's like 5'2", I think is her height, but she has, like, you can feel the energy of her coming through the podcast of just how intense she is. But she's on there and she talks about like having to eat and change her diet to make certain types of poop for scat fetishes, because it
Oh,
is a thing that people pay a lot of money for.
I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, no, for real. She talked about how like ice cream changes the consistency of your poop. Anyway, I would have never thought that,
No,
right?
never,
Would have never thought about that.
never crossed my mind.
OBJ on that one, man. I just want to remind you guys of one thing. For all the jokes that everybody's making, for all the things that you can say, Odell Beckham Jr. is a guy who we, as far as we know, right now, likes to get shit on, and he's still 10 times cooler than you.
Yeah.
Just facts.
So
Just
not getting into the shitty part of the situation. The
Oh,
for
here comes Martin with the 50 Cleveland steamer type jokes here.
well,
There we
no,
go.
no, no, no. I was going the other direction. Who cares what OBJ does in the
Yeah, that's
bedroom? You
that's
know,
the
like,
number one thing too, right? Like, it's none of anybody else's business, right? Until like he didn't tell you. She said something that she,
yeah,
like, once again in that situation, like, nobody expects anything from her in that situation, right? Because that, like, she literally is on a podcast that is like about thoughts and their thought stories, right?
yeah,
So like people already demean and take her down and like say all kinds of horrible things about her as a person, which are not warranted, I'm sure, because most of you guys don't actually know her as a person. So it's hard to be like, oh man, you're a bad person because you sleep around with a bunch of people, right?
yeah.
But anyway, no, it just sucks that there's a podcast that's like that now. Also, Drake and a lot of other rappers have been trying to tell y'all fools for a long, long time about situations like this,
Yeah.
man. Like, anyway, go
And
ahead, Martin.
my final take on it is just I feel like, and you mentioned at the top that the guy that runs No Jumper has kind of found a niche. It seems that they're trying to like go a TMZ route and just release anything. And I mean, obviously TMZ fact checks and double backs and
I was
everything
gonna say,
now, but
man, we used to live in a time period where TMZ was like a joke,
yeah,
and now them dudes be for real. They
yep,
in like they look at legal documents and photograph them and stuff like that,
hmm
make requests and everything, and they have like real reporters. So
I just think
yeah, it's
like our title, Clout, or this one, our title's Cap Clout, but we got a couple of themes of clout chasing in today's episode, and I just think that's all this is. They're just trying to get clicks. They're just trying to get people to talk about their show and the fact that they're the ones that talked about what OBJ likes. Um, and it is what it is. I mean, it just it's not my thing. I could I could have went the rest of eternity not knowing as much as I found out in the past 20 minutes about this cat fetish. But to each their own. If people are into that, people are into
See,
that.
Martin.
It
See,
ain't my thing.
Martin. That's what I'm talking about, man. You know, I got friends that text me that say they learn stuff on this podcast, and I'm like, that's what I'm here for, baby. I'm here to help you be a better you. I know you didn't need to know that people enjoy ingesting and having other people's shit on them, but you know, that's humans. That's humanity. I can guarantee you, that's like deeply rooted in like something in human DNA. That's not like a thing that just became a thing, right? Like I'm just saying it's been around for a long time. People just haven't been talking about it. That's what I'm here for. That's what this podcast is here for. To talk about the shit that none of you want to talk about.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
I'm done with the shit jokes. I'm sorry.
well, here's the other thing. Like, one thing I didn't see people take advantage of is the fact that he plays for the Browns. Like, did
I
he?
saw a lot of people take advantage of that. I
Oh,
had a
okay.
friend person. I have a person in my fantasy league that wrote just Cleveland Steamer at one point
Yeah.
inside
A league.
in the group chat. So
Yeah, a league that I'm in drafted on the day that that story dropped, and I think two or three of the names had Odell shit jokes as their team names, and so yeah, it's
I will say the league that the Bro Boy Sports Fantasy League has some strong names in it. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, we got a good start. That was a good shout out to everybody that made it to the draft. Thank you. Uh, Unfortunately, it turned into an 11 team league because I didn't think about something, and so before we get into my thing, we'll talk about if you want to talk about the fantasy league. One person ended up signing up on two different teams with the same account, and I don't know how that happened.
Oh,
And
I did
so,
that by accident in a money league one
oh,
time.
for real? I didn't even know you could do
In the
that.
in the big time money league, because by the way, this is Yahoo Sports thing, so I don't know if how it works on ESPN. I know some people have multiple accounts because they forget passwords or whatever,
No, it's just the
and then some
same.
people. Okay, so yeah, if you click the link twice, it'll be if you click the
Oh, true.
invitation link twice, it'll make another team. Especially if there's spots open, it'll be like, oh look, another team got added, another team
Yeah.
got added. So yeah, I had that happen with the Yahoo thing. It was supposed to be, I think they had 16 slots, and I was the 12th one, and I signed up twice, so I was like 11th and 12th, and then
Wow.
they got another person to hop in, so it was weird.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. So we've got an 11 team league this year. One team's going to have a bye each week. And to make up for that, we're going to have 2 week playoffs, which I've never done in any fantasy league I've ever been in.
Oh
So,
no, dude! It changes things. That's how I won the title last year.
yeah.
I got smoked in week 1 because one of my players was on a bye, and I was just like, "Oh, they know what time it is." Like week 2 rolled, like the second week of the playoffs rolls around, they knew they were gonna get crushed because I was within range of just that one player's average points per that season, and then he went over, like 16 over.
Mm.
Yeah. So it wins you. It changes the dynamic of things. I won my old job, the Vipe League. I won that fantasy football league doing that too. So
Nice.
2 week fantasy football playoffs is a move. It's a
Oh,
move.
okay. Yeah, I know people do it. I've never been in a league that's done it. So I'm interested to see how if I make playoffs how it goes. But Ashton, we are recording this on what is it, September 10th? It is a
Sorry, yeah,
Thursday.
Martin. We haven't been doing this, man. It's Thursday, September 10th.
Yeah,
Sorry, we
we're
haven't been doing that. We haven't been saying what the day is for people.
we're today is a special day for a sports fan. I hope you've got enough bags of cocaine lined up because you're gonna have a couple of bags of cocaine lined up. Obviously, we've got the NFL, but today is a super sports equinox, and it's actually a super duper sports equinox if you include the WNBA. So today,
Which we always do.
so today,
So
September 10th, there is an NFL, an NBA, MLB, NHL, WNBA, MLS, tennis, and college football games all happening at some point today. I believe the tennis may have already started while we record this. A couple of MLB games might be going on. I didn't check the actual schedule of when these teams actually start.
sorry, I had to snort some NHL. Sorry, go ahead.
Dude, the Dallas Stars. Hell fucking yeah, you got to take some up the nose for the NHL, dude. The only team from Dallas that we support is the Dallas Stars. We are Dallas Star backers here on the Broke Boy Sports Podcast. But
As you
anyways,
can hear, Houston's a little weird.
yeah,
It's thunder and lightning, but there's no rain.
there's no
So
yeah,
I
it's one
know
of
the
those
rain.
storms.
That rain is about to slap like nobody's business, guys.
Yeah. So a super duper sports equinox today, and according to ESPN and the Elias Sports Bureau, this is the first time ever, if you include the WNBA, that this has happened with all of those sports playing on a game. And if you take the women's NBA out of it, it's only happened twice before in history. And the last time was October 2018.
Which, by the way, is considered to be the greatest weekend in sports, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what it was. It was the same night that Floyd Mayweather fought Manny
Hmm.
Pacquiao for the first time ever, and it was that night. It was the weekend that Tom Brady and everybody had like won the Super Bowl, and they were on the Kentucky Derby was that weekend or whatever it was. Is that what the deal was?
The October one was, I think that might have been the one before. That was a different one that you're thinking about. But this one was, I think it was the Alabama Auburn weekend on Kick Six.
Oh yeah,
I
the Kick
think.
Six, man.
I want to say that was the weekend, but I might be I might be wrong on that. But anyways, so only two times before, if you, this one's a little bit weird because everyone's trying to get their own stat out of it. Like ESPN and Elias is throwing in the WNBA, and this is the first time ever that if you put the WNBA in the conversation, which it should be already, but you know, first time ever for that. Only the second time ever for all of them except the WNBA. I was looking at. I'm a stat nerd, Ashton. I like reading these interesting stats. A regular North American sports equinox, where the four major sports has only happened 21 times. I would have thought it happened a lot more, like way back when, but apparently it's only happened 21 times in history.
Yeah,
So,
and think about the existence of what that is. That takes multiple game sevens, right?
hmm
That takes multiple game sevens in multiple sports, and that's just like unheard of. That
yep,
competition is that close on multiple occasions. Because if things were going normal here, we talk about this a little bit later. If like the seeds were winning normal, what is it, 3-4-2
hmm
competitions, or we won 6 games, or we're running 5 games, all the playoff series would already be over,
yep,
except the Rockets and the Lakers, I think.
yeah. I think
So,
I think even the Astros were involved in the October 28 because that was a game seven. Um,
oh, was that it wasn't game 6, which is the greatest Major League Baseball playoff game of all time because it was a home run derby, but like for like a World Series championship. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So my major points on this, Ashton, this today, this super duper sports equinox, this is what we waited for when it was tough in 2020, when it was extremely tough, excuse me, in 2020, and when sports was canceled, we were sitting here doing the show, trying to figure out when all the sports would come back, and then I remember you and I having this conversation about, hey, when it comes back, we're going to be getting what is it, a smorgasbord of sports on weekends and on certain days, and this is, I think, I saw somebody for ESPN tweet out that a super equinox, if one of the game sevens in the NBA if it goes to a game seven in the playoffs again, we could do it all over again. But
It would probably be the Rockets Lakers because they're the furthest one behind because they've only played three
yeah,
games in their series. Because Clippers Nuggets is 3-1,
hmm
and the Celtics and the Raptors play on Friday. If you're listening to this on Thursday, September 10th, they play on Friday for Game 7. So the
okay,
Raptors and the Lakers are the furthest behind, and of course, if you've been paying attention, the Milwaukee Bucks are already eliminated.
yeah. See you,
So yeah.
Giannis. We'll get to that in a little bit. But this is obviously we aren't out of the COVID woods at this point. Depending on who you talk to, it's either contained and everything is good now, or we're just treading through the water lightly. But
Or in some cases, people pretending that it's over.
yeah, exactly. Like it's still a thing, but this is me personally a reward for sports fans in general. For really, this is our reward for sticking through it, through doing everything we could. I wouldn't say we did everything we could, but this was we're out of the or we're not out of the, I don't know. I don't know where I stand on the COVID thing. Obviously, but I haven't really been in the news. I've been out of the news business for 2 years, so I don't get that the information like I used to. So it'll be I'd have to go look at like the numbers and stuff like that. But this is today is a special day in sports. We've literally got just about every major sport in America playing today,
Right.
like which is really fucking cool. And they're not boring games either. We've got the Texans and the Chiefs kicking off the NFL season. We got Lakers Rockets. We got the Western Conference playoffs in NHL with the Stars going hopefully going back to, hopefully they can get to the Stanley Cup, which would be cool. Serena, who is chasing history, she's in the semifinals at the U.S. Open.
I mean, you could literally say Serena is chasing history any day of the week for the
Yeah,
past
true.
decade, and you'd be right.
Yeah, but
She wakes up and literally pisses excellence.
oh,
So
she is one of those athletes that like years from now we'll look back on and say like obviously
nobody will believe she was real.
yeah
Nobody, like, she's a mythical level type athlete. So.
like we lived through like just think about people like our age, Ashton. Like we have lived through yeah, we were young for the Jordan era, but we've lived through Jordan, we're still living through Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Kobe,
We've Tom Brady, Kobe,
Tom,
LeBron. Um, and these are just like those sports. Serena, both of the Williams sisters, really.
we witnessed the greatness of Michael Phelps.
Yeah,
Where
Michael
he just
Phelps.
was, where we could have sworn he was faster than actual fish
Yeah.
on any given day.
Tiger
You
Woods.
talk about Usain Bolt, Tiger Woods.
Dude, we've seen some excellent athletes in our short time period of being on Earth. So it's looking back on it, when we're a lot older, it'll be one of those like obviously she's not on a TV as much as the NFL and major sports, but she's still one of those people that you will remember forever. And I don't know if you saw the video of her daughter with the husband from the stand, like realizing that mommy's out on the court. That one, we've had some really cute baby videos recently. With Fred, was it Fred Van Vliet last week, and now Serena this week?
Fred Van Vliet and his daughter. She had like the kid size Toronto Raptors Dino jersey that everybody wants to wear for fashion. She had like a kid size version of that. Serena's daughter, which I believe her name is Olympia too. Am I right?
Might be. I don't know. I
can't
remember.
Her name is I think her name is Olympia too. And she has an Instagram account that has almost 1 million followers already. So, but yeah, she and her mom.
Alexis Olympia.
Alexis Olympia Williams, or not even Williams.
Ohanian. Yeah, Alexis Ohanian's.
And she got to wave at mom while she broke somebody's spirit and crushed their dreams. So
yeah,
lots of fun. No doubt, man. And the legendary Serena. Do we need to talk about Djokovic on that one? What he did was wrong. He hit somebody in the throat
that
with
was
a fucking tennis ball. It was fucking right. It was probably the douchebag move of the year.
That was from what I saw, it wasn't directed at her. It just ended up hitting her squarely in a place where she couldn't fucking breathe for a couple of seconds.
Yes, yep, that'll do it. Taking the tennis ball. It's like, hey man, you take a fastball like when Aroldis Chapman hit somebody with that 97-mile-an-hour fastball like a couple weeks ago. Which, by the way, he only got like suspended for I think it was 8 games on that one, which I guess is a lot. But for a pitcher, 8 games is. I mean, he's a closer, so he plays every night, or he plays most nights. But 8 games ain't really that much for almost killing somebody by decapitation from a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. But yeah, go ahead, Martin.
Last point for me here on the sports equinox happening. If you're a Houston fan, obviously Ashton and I weren't alive for this one, but the Houston Chronicle says Houston teams playing on this. This is the first time since October 12th, 1980. That the 3 major Houston sports teams, that being the Rockets, Astros, and the Houston football franchise, formerly known as the Oilers, but all played.
Is Texans a slur now?
Well, no. I thought in my head as I was talking. Well, it wasn't really the Texans; it was the Oilers back then. But in 1980, all 3 teams played on the same day. If you're a historian or if you know about this day, you know that all 3 teams that were playing actually lost on that day. So hopefully we don't have a repeat of that.
Martin, can I throw something in here since we're talking about former Houston football franchises and
go for it.
This is 7 Degrees from Kevin Bacon, right?
Okay.
So tonight, I 1,000% can tell you this is going to come up in the broadcast at some point or another. The Kansas City Chiefs used to be
Mm-hmm.
the Dallas Texans.
Yep.
That they're gonna point that out. It's almost like it's like clockwork when you point out, like, oh man, Ryan Fitzpatrick's on the field. You know, he did go to Harvard.
And if it was on
or
ESPN, I don't know if NBC does or what their graphics package will be like, but if it was on ESPN, it would be they'd start in Dallas, they'd go like a Texan looking or like a Chief will walk up to Kansas City, sit down in Kansas City, then the Cowboys would be created in Dallas, and then the Oilers in Houston, the Oilers get up, move to Tennessee, and then you got the Texans sprouting out of Houston. That's my imagination.
yeah, the
You know.
Monday Night Football opening
Yes.
graphic where they do like a miniature animated film, basically.
Yeah.
Just fucking insane.
I love it.
Also,
It's sometimes cringy, but I love that type of stuff.
some of them are good, and then most of them are like, I think. And Martin, once again, not every one. This is a key point to point out something as a sports fan. Not everything is for you, right?
Hmm.
Like you're an adult. Like, do you think they made an animation for you specifically to translate information? Then again, I take that back. Some of you guys are kind of dumb, and you need like visual representations to learn things. It's better than like listening to a dude just read it off a piece of paper, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The other thing is like kids are gonna remember that shit. Like for real, kids will remember. Like child sports fans will remember that
Yeah.
years later. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, we all remember the 1990s and early 2000s Monday Night Football, which was like more gridiron and like dun 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 dun. And now we've got
this just hits.
like now we've got the somebody put out like a highlight, like a hype video, and it was like these are all hits that wouldn't be legal in today's NFL. It was really
Yes,
fucking
and
funny.
it was just like every hit from the '80s.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ashton, you had anything else on the sports equinox?
no, I don't, man. I hope we all can enjoy it all. I know some people are being overwhelmed, in particular, people who work in covering sports
Mm-hmm.
that are also trying to enjoy sports as well.
Yeah. Good luck.
I will say this: you know which ones you like, and you
Yeah.
know which ones you force yourself to watch. Watch
Yeah.
the ones you like. Don't
Yep.
forget, being a fan is a choice. You get
Yep.
to choose what you do and do not watch. Just some stuff to remember.
Ooh.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that was going to happen at some point during the podcast. Sorry for everybody listening at home. There's not, once again, it's lightning and thunder and there's no rain outside. So
Gotta love
that's
Houston
fun.
weather.
Gotta
All right,
love it.
Ashton. We've got best of the best, worst of the worst. I've got best of the best this week, and it goes out to the GOAT. Gotta give it to her. Basketball Hall of Famer Doris Burke is going to be calling the conference finals and NBA finals for ESPN Radio, becoming the first woman to serve as a game analyst on a radio or network TV broadcast that far into the playoffs. And Ashton, as great as it is that it took her until 2020 and working almost 30 years for ESPN to get to this point, got to give it to Boris Burke. However, and you and I have talked about this before in the past, and I know I've brought it up. I'm tired of things being a first in 2020.
It's the year 2020, and we finally let a woman talk about basketball.
And like this one, like the announcement, you can go into the comments, and I know
yeah.
they were there. I know they were there, but it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. With
I
people
will
saying
say
like,
this,
"Oh, I
Martin.
ain't listening."
I
Yeah.
will say this, Martin. This goes to anybody who's listening to this stream or this podcast. You got something to say about Doris Burke? You send me a time and place.
Yep.
Let
She
me know.
is. Yep.
Let me know what time it is. I mean, I will come and whoop your ass with my mask on. So, and there's a lot of people in the comments that be like, "Oh, look at this guy." Like, there's just people who just eviscerate you if you have anything negative to say about Doris Burke, because there's people who like talk about her voice all the time. I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like. Like, oh yeah, because it's a requirement for your voice to sound just absolutely pristine, and it has to be perfect to you, random person on the internet, for that decision for a person who's been putting time in for decades to be validated, right?
Mhm.
It's just so laughable, bro. It really
Yeah.
is.
And we've also got to give a shout out to Doris, because I didn't realize this. Excuse me. I didn't realize this until I read the article, or I knew about it, but I couldn't remember it. And I think we even talked about it. She had coronavirus back in March.
Yeah. Yeah, so her deal was there's actually an ESPN Daily podcast where they talked to Doris Burke about what her experience with coronavirus was, and then talking about being in the bubble and preventing it and everything like that. Wild part is her daughter is a nurse.
Hmm.
So like they don't know like where she got it from or whatever. I'm sure it was something like she went out somewhere and got it like really quickly because people were being irresponsible,
Hmm.
not nearly as responsible as they are now. People not wearing masks consistently, not cleaning things as free like cleaning things as furiously as they do now, right? So she actually, yeah, she survived, and she said it was not fun, like not at all. She actually had symptoms, and she was locked away in her room for like a couple of weeks, and we were all I mean, I would be worried. Doris is older for
Yeah.
sure. And I mean, get worried anytime you hear about anybody getting coronavirus, but particularly older people. So yeah.
Yeah, and another thing I learned while I was reading up on Doris and like her career, this isn't the first time that she's been the first woman to
Oh
do
yeah.
this. She actually, Doris actually, when she worked for the New York Knicks, actually became the first female for the Knicks network to do the exact same thing, to call the game on radio and network TV. So, got to give
And
shout outs
her
to her. Oh God. Um, but for me personally, got to give her credit for fighting through all the misogynistic. That's one of the harder words for me to say. Misogynistic bullshit. You and I have mentioned it already a few times. Just like the
her
fact
and
that,
I was just gonna say her and Jackie McMullen.
yeah,
Because one of the I don't know if you learned this your first day in communication school, Martin, but they I was lucky enough to have a female professor who had worked at like the New York Times
mhm,
and also had worked in sports and like other networks and everything. And she pointed out how like nobody like no woman over 35 works at ESPN. Like they just magically at some point their contract expires and it never gets renewed for whatever reason.
yeah,
And the only people who are like the exceptions are Jackie McMullen and Doris Burke.
yeah.
So
They're they're trying to break that. They've broken that down. Rachel Nichols is still there.
yeah,
Um,
Rachel Nichols, and it's of course like it has to be like like once again this is what it goes back to, right? Like they have to be the truly exceptional
yeah,
ones, right? They have to be like the great like Doris Burke is a Hall of Fame broadcaster. Like Rachel Nichols is an ESPN legend. Jackie McMullen is one of the greatest writers of our time in terms of like being a reporter and talking about the Celtics and everything like that. She's seen the league from way back in the day.
yeah. She,
And that's the problem. Like there can't just be average people. There are plenty of average dudes that work at ESPN. You never remember them, right?
yeah,
There are plenty of average dudes that work at ESPN. There are plenty of average dudes that work at FS1, NBC, CBS Sports, all that jazz like that, and they get to just kind of hang out. Like they don't have like that expectation of you got to be young and vibrant and
hmm,
be able to wow the dudes when you're on the screen with something other than your opinion.
yeah.
So
And one more thing for me, to the people that talk down on the female broadcasters and people in the industry, there's dudes that suck at their jobs too, right? Like there
I
is
mean, literally every like if you listen to Twitter, everybody sucks at their job that
true,
does any type of NBA broadcast because people hate Reggie Miller, people hate Chris Webber. The only person that's untouchable is Mike Breen
yeah,
and Ian Eagle, and even people try and talk shit about Ian Eagle because he sounds like a fucking he sounds like he's that old '70s news report. And he's like, "How you doing, Sonny?" And
yeah,
even though Ian Eagle gets me hype as fuck when I'm listening to fucking broadcast, man. When he's doing NFL football radio broadcast, dude, oh my god, like your team can suck. And he can make your team sound like they're up by 15,
yeah.
like straight up.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. It shouldn't matter what gender the person is providing you the commentary to a sports thing. If you don't like it, you can listen to it on mute. Like you don't have to listen to the commentary. I mean, my dad will watch an entire World Cup from start to finish on mute because he doesn't like the commentary, but he enjoys the sport and wants to watch it so much that he will watch it on mute. I mean, you can put it on the like the Spanish speaking channel if you don't want to listen to Doris Burke do her thing. I mean, there is ways to enjoy the content if you don't like Doris to continue taking that comment or take the content. But I also want to know the
Just saying,
where the
man. Like
crossroad is, huh?
Martin. Let's also be honest about this situation. It's some dudes that their problem with Doris Burke is not her commentary.
Yeah, it's the fact that
So
she's a female, which is
yeah,
misogynistic as fuck. And I mean, it's ridiculous. But I want to know the crossroads of people that don't want to listen to Doris Burke and don't watch the NBA because of politics. I want to know where the
perfect circle.
I want to know where they cross paths at, you know. But let's
I'll be damned if what you have women and
a
black
woman.
men
I can't.
talking about sports.
Oh my god, dude!
What does the world come to?
Imagine if like Doris Burke and like Chris Webber did a commentary together, you know, dude. That would blow some people out of the fucking. They wouldn't know what to do with themselves. But anyway,
Also,
let's.
Twitter lost their shit about Doris Burke saying all ACAB during a broadcast because the refs went through and like officiated some like really minutia call where they called her for a foul after instant replay, and she said ACAB, and if you don't know what that means, it means all cops are bastards, and she was definitely saying it as a joke in reference to the refs.
Yeah.
Because it was like an abuse of power when they were looking at the replay. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, we're
Sorry,
getting into
Mark.
worst of the worst. The NBA refs right now could have made the worst of the worst list.
Playoff fouls don't exist anymore. They didn't tell us.
Dude, it's not just playoff fouls. They are. Before we get into actual worst of the worst, I'll save that take for when we talk about the NBA later. Let's get into worst of the worst. You have it this week, and it's the main reason for our title. Take it away.
All right, so Martin, just to pick up on what you were about to say, shout out to the NBA. They're actually turning over calls when challenges come in, and it's like pretty fucking obvious because like last night there were 3 that got overturned, and it's just good to see a league actually giving the power of replay and then actually allowing calls to be changed over. It's amazing what happens when you have a system and it works. Anyway, worst of the worst. Madden may have put another nail in the coffin that is the franchise. Colin Kaepernick is back in Madden 21. And not only that, when you score a touchdown with him, his celebration is to throw up the Black Power fist. So let's take this from the top. Let's take it from the top.
Go for it, dude. I'm just shaking my head the whole time.
The last time you saw Colin Kaepernick on an NFL field in an NFL uniform was the year 2016, which quite frankly sounds like sounds like a century ago. If you ask me, it feels like it's a century ago based off just this year alone, ladies and gentlemen. So Colin Kaepernick Colin Kaepernick, of course, stirred and hurt a lot of people's feelings when he decided he thought that America was not making good on its promise towards black and brown people of being a home of the free, land of the brave and home of the free. Decided to do a lot of things that pissed off a lot of people. I don't need to rehash all that. Although I would say, based off of some people who are still talking about how kneeling for the flag is still a gigantic disrespect to military veterans, despite the fact that the action of kneeling for the flag was something suggested by a former Green Beret, which many would consider to be the elite of the elite within military veterans. Anyway, moving on. EA, all these years, from 2016 up until 2020, up until Madden 2021, decided they were not going to have the likeness of Colin Kaepernick because he was a free agent after the year 2016, and we all know what that deal was, right? Mm-hmm. If you've been paying attention, there was a whole situation where they signed for an undisclosed amount of money that Colin Kaepernick no longer had. That Colin Kaepernick could no longer discuss the NFL, and according to EA, this year, this is released in a statement, millions of people who have been playing the game have been asking for Colin Kaepernick to be back in it. And goddamn it, Martin, if EA is not responsive to their customers, they are nothing else.
I could literally sit here and tell you I have not seen of all the things that people have been asking Madden to change.
Which, by the way, if there's a theme for the year 2020 for black people, which is what Martin's about to say, there's a theme for it. We didn't ask for that.
No, that's what I was literally about to say. Like,
We
like
want other things. They're like, no, we want you to fix dynasty mode. Nah, shut up, dude. I heard you already. We put Colin Kaepernick back in the game. What else the fuck do you want?
Oh, they also want him to raise his fist. Got it. Let's fucking go. Let's get it in
Let's
there.
do it. Let's
That's
do
gonna
it.
be
Never
the.
was
That's
this
gonna get.
celebration at any point in the NFL, but we got it. We got it.
That's gonna get the people to come back and play our game. That's gonna. Oh my god, dude! Like when I read it, I think I texted you. I was like, why? Like, if you're gonna do this, why not do it? Make that as part of the game announcement and the game on release, not
Oh,
2 weeks in when your sales are slumping and you're trending on Twitter for canceling your contract with the NFL. No, that's not why. That's none of that has anything to do with it. It's because millions of people are asking for Cap to come back. And okay, while we're at it, so Cap comes back into the game, right? His last rating in 2016 was a 77 overall. He is now a free agent in the game at an 81 overall. Now we can get into
Martin. We ended racism.
we can
We
get
did
in.
it. We did it. We made. By the way, Nathan Peterman's a 51.
Bro,
Okay.
he's gotten better in 4 years of being out of league. Like we can like
I'm telling you, Martin, somebody from EA, somebody from the Madden team was at that fucking tryout at that high school football field.
and
They were there.
bro, like it just doesn't.
No NFL scouts wanted to be there, but there was some people from EA that were there, and they're like, God damn it, look at that. Somehow he's gotten better. Somehow he's gotten better in all these years.
Ashton, you know the meme that a lot of people have for companies where like everyone's sitting at the table and they're like, all right, we need ideas. Like our sales are slumping. We need ideas to get better. There's a picture of the one guy sitting over there that says, we should fix Dynasty mode and make it so that it's playable on PC and fix all the bugs. And then there's the other person.
Throw him out the window.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And then there's the dude next to him, a person next to him that says, well, we could add Cap to the game and inflate his rating and give him a Black Power celebration. And then they throw the dude out fixing everything and keep the guy with Cap. It is 100% Klaus chasing. It is, for me as a white person, it is 100% trying to get black people who, let's be honest, there are some people in this world that think for some reason the color of your skin matters about how smart you are. And so they think if we put Cap back into this game that a black person will more than likely come back to the Madden thing because they think we're catering, like we're doing what they ask. And
it's funny how they think every black person
is dumb.
They obviously have never met Candace Owens, but that's a question for another day.
Or a former president, like that's one of the stigmas of that some people have with black people. I just don't understand. Like there has been thousands of examples of smart people across the color spectrum. So like for me personally, I think it's going after the racist thing. Yeah, the black people are going to come to Madden. They're going to love the fact that we put Cap in, and you and a couple other black people that I know literally are laughing at it. So that's where I'm at.
I will say this. Cap hasn't been in the NFL since 2016. His presence in the game just so happens to align in the year that the NFL and Roger Goodell just so happened to be really sorry about that one time they ruined his entire career.
True. It is.
It just so happens to align in a year where it is in vogue to be an ally for black people.
Yep.
When it should be an ally for black, brown, and all people of all colors, right? It should black people and just minorities in general need help. Black people have been taking a lot of shit for a really long time, and I get it. We got to get our moment because people have been telling us that we've been making this whole racism thing up for centuries, despite all the evidence in everybody's face, right?
Yeah, y'all have been making it.
There's some people who believe that, Martin. I don't really know what to tell them. EA reached out to Cap individually and asked could they put him in the game, and of course he said yes, because like who would pass on being in a video game? Martin, there's another thing there's one positive that comes out of this whole situation, Martin. And god damn it, if I can't get behind it, I don't know what else I can get behind. Somebody's gonna beat the fuck out of a white dude that's like I'm sorry. Somebody's gonna beat the fuck out of a racist ass dude on the internet with Colin Kaepernick. and then use the black power fist every time he scores a touchdown, and it's just gonna it's gonna fill my soul. It's going to embrace, and it'll be like I wish like the sign, like when he scores a touchdown, could just like the whole scoreboard could just change and it says equality across the front of it. Just to piss off like some racist white dude that's still out here talking about how Colin Kaepernick kneeling was something against the flag and all that kind of shit like that. And gosh,
Well, here's the thing, Ashton.
I wish I could be there.
Here's the thing: that racist person hasn't he not given up on the NFL and the NFL players? So
That's
why
right.
is he
That's right.
why is
That's
he
right.
why is he playing Madden if he's
That's
he's
right.
not two-faced or lying or anything?
We need to come collect these cable boxes that these dudes claim that they're not using anymore to watch sports. I need to come collect some video games. I swear, all them dudes who claim that they don't want to play Madden anymore because they don't want to support the NFL in any way, shape, or form. We got poor kids out here in the streets, out here all over the country that can use that game for free. Send it to me, dog. Send it to me, and I'll get it to somebody. I promise you, I will. Anyway. If you are the person who takes Colin Kaepernick and beats a dude who has like nigger written in his gamer tag or some shit like that, or sends you a message where he calls you the N-word, please send it to me. I need to see those scores. I need to see 53-14. I need to see 67-3. Do it for the culture, guys. For the culture. Also, Martin, did it work?
No. I'm not going. I mean,
it has us talking about Madden for the second week in a row.
It does, but negative. Any publicity is good publicity, right? But until you optimize it for the PC, I'm not. I'm sorry. That for me, that should be priority number one. Mainly because I'm a PC player now, but also the fact is, why would you release a game that's not optimized for a system or a console? Exactly. It just doesn't make sense. There's just too much wrong with Madden right now for me to continue supporting it. And you and I aren't dumb. We know what they're doing. It's not.
I like to imagine I'm not that stupid, but
it just screams aiming at people that they think aren't smart. And
hey, maybe it works. Maybe it gets a couple more of those. Maybe it gets a couple more of those.
Again, all they care is how many downloads and people buying the game. They don't care about the actual product. They only care about how much money they're getting off of the said product. So if this brings a couple more people back to Madden, it did work for them. But for me, I see through all the bullshit. You also had a second thing for worst of the worst.
Yeah, this one's easy. Miami, the city of Miami, not just like the Heat or anything. And I think this goes even higher than Miami. It might be like a state thing or something. But Miami is seemingly refusing to accept help from the American Airlines Arena, which is the arena where the Miami Heat play. As a voting station, they're being denied. Apparently, they're putting it at some museum that's also in the city that I'm assuming has been a polling station before. But basically, they came out and said, this was even confirmed on Bomani Jones's podcast, The Right Time, which you should check out as often as possible to get just a little bit smarter. He pointed out, because he used to live in Miami and work on Highly Questionable, which is shot out of the Clevelander, if you listen to Dan Le Batard's show and all that kind of stuff like that. But he talked about like how nobody knows where that museum is, but everybody knows where the arena is. And if you told people they could vote at the arena, they would show up. So, yeah, that's what it is. I would say if there's any kind of justice in the world, the Bang Bus Center would have been a thing, right? The Bang Bros were going to buy the naming rights for the American Airlines Arena and name it the Bang Bus Center. And it would have subsequently helped fuck the injustice out of democracy. But, alas, we'll have to wait another year.
Oh, I wonder who said no on that.
It's almost as bad as that one time a prison almost bought the naming rights to the Miami Dolphin Stadium, which is now called Sun Life Stadium. But, that's neither here nor there.
I thought it was, isn't it the Hard Rock now?
It's Hard Rock, you're right. Yeah, no doubt. By the way, Hard Rock's like shutting down. Right?
Really?
Like that's not like permanently, but they're like dropping locations, I think.
Oh wow, that's not good.
Yeah, they were caught up in that incident earlier it was in 2019 where like people were dropping dead, like in the Caribbean, like people were drinking like poisonous alcohol.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Happened in like multiple Hard Rocks or something like that. But hey, their food's pretty good. I can't
Yeah.
lie.
So that's the best and the best, worst of the worst for us this week. Shout out to Doris Burke being the best of the best at the top of her game. Worst of the worst, Madden and its clout chasing, and Miami refusing help from the American Airlines Center. We move along, Ashton. Do you have anything for about a week ago this week?
Yeah,
Cause
about a week ago, football seemed like but a dream.
yep,
Today, it's a reality.
yep,
That's it. It's that simple. Oh, by
yep.
the way, the first college football player has passed away from COVID
That's just,
19
yeah,
complications.
that
And
was
nobody
unfortunate.
said anything. Shout out to Brett McMurphy. Didn't see it at all on any form of news media. Didn't see any articles written about it. But I did see, as usual, a ton of people supporting Ohio State as they get ready to try and sue the Big Ten for stopping the Big Ten season from happening. But whatever. Everybody's always got excuses. Anyway, moving on.
Moving right along, we're going to be going from about a week ago to We Talking Money. Are we talking money? Ashton, it seems as if, or it definitely is, it's contract season before the NFL kicks off tonight because,
Sorry, Martin. Before we get to this segment, Kelly Aiko just tweeted out. Mike D'Antoni says Daniel House is not playing today.
oh, surprise. Wonder why.
Fucking great.
Yeah, that's, the Rockets are imploding, no pun intended. But yeah, we talking money. We talking
She
money.
works there. She works in the bubble.
Yeah,
whatever.
it's ridiculous. I mean, young athletic people. I mean, we see it in the Olympics. Young athletic people want to hook up with other people around them, and it is what it is. Anyways, we talking money. We talking money. 3 more contracts. I believe there was a couple more, but these are the 3 that we wanted to point out because these are some of the best players in the NFL right now. Jalen Ramsey, DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson, all in the past couple of days have signed either new contract or most of them, actually all 3 of these are contract extensions with the current team. Jalen Ramsey, 5-year extension with the Rams, so he wants to be in LA for a while. Worth $105 million, $21 million per season, making him the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. Just really quickly, Ashton, do you think Jalen Ramsey deserves to be the highest paid cornerback in the NFL, or is there another one that you think should be up there?
So Jalen Ramsey and Tre'Davious White, which by the way, Tre'Davious White did sign an extension as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2 top corners in the NFL, of course, Stephon Gilmore is
Yeah,
the one,
exactly.
the number one that everybody, he's the king of the cornerbacks right now. And Jalen Ramsey, I mean, that's a lockdown man-to-man corner. Same thing with Stephon Gilmore. Same thing with Tre'Davious White. Those dudes are most comfortable when their hands are in your face and when their hands are on you, which these wide receivers be big as fuck out here. They got to get their hands on them.
Yep.
Most specifically, Julio Jones is big as fuck, guys, and he's fast. So you look at the guys like Tyreek Hill and the likes of Jalen Ramsey, the likes of Tre'Davious White, the likes of Stephon Gilmore. Despite having the speed disadvantage, can overcome that with their understanding of how to defend certain guys, how to defend the ball, not necessarily the man. I definitely put Jalen Ramsey in the top of the top when it comes to these 2, and especially considering the season that he just came off of. Same thing with Tre'Davious White, man. I mean, they earned that money for a long time, and they should have got that. He should have got that money when he was in Jacksonville, and he did.
Yeah,
So,
I think he didn't. Him and everybody else apparently that gets drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars didn't want to continue his career there. So now he's in
Martin, I'm
LA.
gonna need you to turn your playbook in. You've been cut from the Jaguar.
I'm fine with that. I don't want. I could make a plethora of jokes about the Jaguars, but the franchise itself is a joke. So we move on to the next player on the list of contract extensions, and this one is an interesting one because he did it without an agent. Ashton, DeAndre Hopkins, a 2-year extension with the Arizona Cardinals, worth $54.5 million in new money. He's going to be making $27.25 per year. $42.7 million is guaranteed, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. You brought up Julio Jones. There's a Tyreek Hill. There's a couple other players on the list of best wide receiver in the NFL right now. Michael Thomas is the highest rated in Madden. But DeAndre Hopkins getting that money and did it without an agent.
Went platinum with no features, baby.
Yep.
Went out here, did it himself, and it's really weird that I don't know what it is about Houston, man. Russell Okung was one of the first guys to really negotiate his own contract in the NFL. Guy from Houston, Texas, which, by the way, shout out to him. He was named team captain for the Carolina Panthers, who he's been a team captain on every team he's ever been on. And if that doesn't say anything about him as a person, I don't know what does. DeAndre Hopkins, shout out to him. Dude's been balling for a long, long time. You look at the company you're in when you negotiate your own contract. You can't be You can't be anything but impressed by those guys. You go from Richard Sherman, you go Bobby Wagner, who went out there and negotiated the biggest contract in the history, biggest extension in the history of inside linebackers ever. Of course, my favorite football player. If you don't know anything about me, Bobby Wagner is my favorite football player in the NFL. I'm a linebacker guy. So be prepared to hear about random linebackers doing like killer ass jobs over the course of the season. Anyway, DeAndre Hopkins, you talk about the elite company you're keeping when you are a guy who negotiates your own contract, because off the shirt, like legit, he shouldn't need an agent to go in there and be like, all right, here's a 2-minute highlight reel of the catches I'm making. If you don't pay me, I guarantee you somebody else will. So you make the decision of if you want me to stay here or not. And of course, it's just, you can't be anything but impressed with a guy where DeAndre's come from. Also, them Clemson dudes.
Yeah,
they're
that's
pretty good.
That was literally I was literally going to talk about. Yep.
By the way, Martin, I was going to point out, if the trend holds, watch out for T. Higgins. Anyway.
Yeah. But that's on. What my that Clemson connection was what I was actually going to bring up next, because one of the dudes that used to throw the ball to DeAndre Hopkins both in college and in the NFL, Deshaun Watson and the Texans coming together, finally agreeing.
They were really close when they were really close, because at one point, Deshaun Watson got like criticized for wearing a Balenciaga sweater that he actually borrowed from DeAndre Hopkins.
Yep.
So yeah, like they're like tight with each other. So it makes sense.
Two of them probably most prominent of the current Clemson Tiger era of success is Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins. Deshaun, the Texans, a 4-year, $160 million contract extension. It is I've seen two different things. I've seen actually multiple different ways of, like, obviously you got to break down the numbers, but according to Ian Rappaport, it's the second largest in NFL history, only behind Patrick Mahomes, which, like, we got to remember Patrick Mahomes' 12-year, $503 million contract is backloaded as fuck. So it's going to make Deshaun the highest paid player in the NFL this season. I just have a question for you, Ashton. Who does that put more pressure on, Deshaun Watson or Bill O'Brien?
Oh, it's no pressure on the dude that's out here making shit happen. So I will say this, man. If there was anything, like, the fans can only be happy about this, because that guarantees, or not guarantees, it seems like it's money that Deshaun Watson can be very happy with, and that's totally that's totally understandable, right? That's the thing that you want. You want the best player on your team to be happy about being on your team. Bill O'Brien maybe buying some goodwill by giving Deshaun Watson the money that he deserves, because whatever situation happens, if they do have to move on from Deshaun in some way, shape, or form, if that time does come, they're going to have to trade for him, and they're going to have to get something back for him in some way, shape, or form. But whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's no way you can take anything but a positive out of this, other than, I mean, I can't really see any positives unless they like fucked him on this extension in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everybody wins all the way around, including Bill O'Brien. He gets some He curries some favor by doing what everybody expected him to do for the first time in his time as a general manager.
See, for me, it puts a little bit more pressure on him, because if he can't succeed with the highest paid player in the NFL, I mean, I don't know. What more? We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we haven't had the preseason.
It's football, man. It's football. Like, you can have the highest paid player on the field. That doesn't mean you have the best player, and it doesn't mean that your team is better because of that one player. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it comes down to, like, teamwork. It comes down to there's way more influence that the collective group has on a game than an individual does. You know?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a few times. This is the first year that I'm not on the Bill O'Brien bandwagon, and so I'm obviously going to be trying to pick out some ways to back up my criticism of him now. So if he can't,
cool. That's gonna make this podcast a lot of fun when I'm just sitting here. You know?
Hey.
Because, I mean, honestly, like, the trend goes in my favor. Like, the dude has been successful when he's here.
Yeah, it's just, I mean,
Y'all are literally mad that he's not winning the Super Bowl. Only one
yes,
team wins the Super Bowl a year.
it's well, it's the
Like y'all,
same.
like in your mind, like that's what I'm saying. The expectation that he has created is like y'all should be competing for the Super Bowl based off the things that you've put in place. To act as if he had nothing to do with the series of actions that put them in a position to be in a place to be able to go to the Super Bowl,
It's just the same.
kind of hypocritical.
It's just the same thing over and over again. That's where I'm at. The Each year we have found a way to embarrass ourselves when we get into the real competition of the playoffs. I mean, the Chiefs fiasco a few years back when they couldn't score a point and he refused to take Brian Hoyer out of the game. The Colts debacle, and then the Chiefs last year, the 24, like you're up 24 to nothing, and somehow I just that it was a final straw for me. And then trading John Hopkins, that's him as a GM. But the fact that here's my side of the argument that you brought up. He's got you okay with winning the AFC South year after
Well,
year and then failing. Or maybe not you,
uh,
but the people defending him now are okay with just being AFC South champions. And from where the Texans were, yeah, I'll take being an AFC champion, but it's just I don't know. It's been the same thing in the playoffs, and that's where I'm at.
yeah, man. You know, I could get into a long spiel about what I believe about Bill O'Brien, but I feel like over the course of this NFL season, you guys will hear all of the notes that I always hit when it comes to the Texans. And maybe, maybe I'm the crazy one. Maybe I'm not. Or maybe
We'll
I'm just
see.
right. We'll find out this year.
I wish we had a preseason. I wish we had a preseason to at least judge the changes because I I hope they just run a spread offense and go away from the ground and pound play action Bill O'Brien that we've had some years. But let's move on. We're going to go into Hi, my name is Ashton. We've got
Oh,
one this
Martin's
week.
actually got one this week.
Yeah, but
Okay,
this
hold
one
on.
should be quick. If I'm thinking you're going to get it quicker than this one's going to be quick, I believe. So,
Okay.
all right, here we
If you are listening in the chat, if you can guess the athlete or person within sports that Martin is talking about, hit us up in the chat. You probably won't get it before I do. That's just how the game goes, but go ahead.
All right, Ashton. Hi, my name is a former 5-star on every recruiting site while I was in high school before I made
Jadavion
it.
Clowney.
God damn it. Yep. So on clown. God, how did you how the fuck did you know that, dude? Damn
Jadavion
it.
Clowney is considered a once in a generation level athlete, guys. Have you not heard that 10 billion times? Also, that's what happens when you listen to draft reports. Remember, I told you about like I look at like when the draft comes out, I look at those like rivals reports and everything. Also, there's a really dope article out. I think it's Bruce Feldman that wrote it, but he wrote about Lamar Jackson, Aaron Donald, and a couple of other guys who were all 3-star athletes and why they were rated 3-star athletes in high school and how that 3-star isn't necessarily like incorrect because it judges you at the time. It doesn't judge
Yeah.
like your projection forward. Some guys start off as 5-star or like quote unquote start off as 5 stars in high school and then they just remain at an elite 5-star level.
I'm not somehow sharing my screen with you, right? Like there.
No.
All right. Well, I was expecting you to get it off of the second clue. My second clue was I went viral while I was in college before getting drafted, and
Yeah,
that
him
probably,
tackling
yeah,
yeah, it was
the
him at
Michigan,
South Carolina or Michigan, yeah.
yeah, that
No,
was gonna be my
I
second
knew.
one, but
You
damn.
said 5-star all the way across and I was just like there's only been one of those that's been talked about cuz only been one of those talked about. If it wasn't for me seeing that article, I wouldn't have never been in the place of like defensive lineman because I thought like, remember that article we read about Aaron Donald and Lamar Jackson? I was like, Aaron Donald, defensive lineman. Ah, yes, old Jadavion Clowney,
Well,
the man who everybody who is in football has been trying to explain to the people who are casually or outside of football about how just because he only has 4.5 sacks does not mean that he's not like it doesn't mean that he's not good. For instance, like Chandler Jones had 19 sacks last year, which would make him one of the best defensive ends like in NFL history because there's only been like a certain group of guys who have gotten to 19 sacks, right?
yeah,
And his team won 4 games.
yeah. So I was expecting you to get it quick, not that fast. That may be a record. There's been a couple of ones you've gotten before I finished the clue, so we'll have to go back and watch the tape to see just how if that one is the
That's what
fastest one.
happens
It
when you
feels like
snort
it.
in it. That's what happens when you snort football,
Yeah,
guys.
he's got that football cocaine just flowing through his brains right now. All right, Ashton, let's move along before we get into our discussion on the NBA playoffs right now. We got one more thing, the media suggestions. Do you have anything that you'd like to
Oh
talk
yeah,
about?
no, I saw yours,
Yeah.
and that's right. It's Amazon Prime, isn't it on Twitch too?
Yeah, one of the games, or I don't know how they're changing it this year, but so Thursday Night Football, for those that don't
By the way,
know,
I don't have a media suggestion. Martin has the best one, so I didn't
okay,
waste my time. Yeah,
sweet. So if you have Amazon Prime, you have access to Thursday Night Football this year.
which I
Um,
do.
yeah, a lot of people have Amazon Prime. Don't forget, once we get affiliate, you could use that Amazon Prime subscription, but we're not there yet. We need to get 50 followers on twitch.tv/Broke Boy Sports.
That's
Come
the
on
goal.
over. We're slowly working our way up. I believe it's our final goal that we have to hit before we can apply for it, Ashton. I have to go back and look, but I believe we are actually doing quite well across the board. So thank you to everybody that's been following, tuning in. It has been an awesome, almost full year. How many months? We've been doing this 8 months now. I think we started in February together. But yeah, it is. Thank you for everybody that's been joining us. But Thursday
Creeping up
night,
on episode 100, and
I
that's
know
kind of
it's
wild.
it's it's weird. I mean, especially for you. You've been doing this. When did I
I've been
join? Episode
talking
like
to myself
60.
for quite some time now.
Yeah. So anyway, Thursday night football. Unfortunately, tonight's game is an NBC exclusive. When I put this in there before I looked into it, I was really hoping that it was an Amazon Prime game because, and this goes back to our best of the best conversation. Um, some people aren't fans of Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, their pairing, and if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch the Thursday night football game without Joe and Troy's commentary. You have a couple of other options, and these are the two that I fucking love. Like sometimes there was one or two games last year, I had the Thursday night football game on the TV and on my phone because of these two commentary teams. So one of them, Hannah Storm and Andrea Kramer.
ESPN Legends.
Yeah, this is year three, I believe, of
Yeah.
them doing this combo in the like I'm gonna say in the booth, but I don't know if they're actually like I think they're just I don't know. Anyways, Hannah Storm, Andrea Kramer. If you're like Ashton said, they are two legends of the game in the journalism or like the sports coverage business, and I fucking that is my go-to, Hannah Storm and Andrea Kramer, and then also they call it the international broadcast. It's an Irish guy and a Scottish guy, Tommy Smith and Derek Ray. For those of you that watched the last couple of like the Women's World Cup and the Men's World Cup before that, you'll recognize Derek Ray. He is I consider him the voice of soccer in America. He is one of
What
my
about
favorite.
what about that dude who does is it not Tommy Smith?
Yeah,
It's
Tommy
not
Smith.
Tommy Smith.
Tommy Smith's the other one. Tommy Smith. He does. I believe the champion. I can't remember which one Tommy
I thought
Smith
he does
does.
EPL
Is it EPL?
for I thought it was EPL. Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of names that for the EPL, but Tommy Smith and Derek Ray. I personally think Derek Ray is the voice. I mean, what's his name? Arlo White. A couple of people will probably recognize Arlo White for his EPL coverage of NBC Sports, but Derek Ray, if you remember or if you watched any of the two World Cups with women or men, he's he did both finals, I believe. And if I find out Derek Ray was on a broadcast, I'm almost automatically going to tune in because he's one of those voices that I connect with, and he just brings a good. I don't know how to explain it. Just a good
Chill
presentation.
vibes
Good
only, bro.
presentation of the game. Like he knows what he's saying and knows who he's talking to, and he mixes it in well. But unfortunately, Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime is not going to start until October, so we're gonna have to wait until then to enjoy it. But I'm just giving y'all a heads up down the line next month. I believe October 12th is the first game that it'll feature. Is that I think that's right. October 12th. Let me. No, it's either October 8th or October 15th. We'll be able to not listen to Joe and Troy do the broadcast. So that's my media suggestion. Look out for it in a couple of weeks time.
Yeah, man, that should be pretty dope. And once again, we need to normalize not like listening to other broadcast teams because there is a whole political system that goes into who ends up in front of that mic, and it's actually kind of insane when it's all said and done because there's like a pecking order and it's like a time type deal, even though somebody is clearly more talented than the other one and all that jazz like that, man. So I can't. I'm excited for Monday Night Football because it's supposed to be Louis Riddick
Yep.
on there, and I'm really pumped for him to be on there and hear what he has to say. Because if you don't follow him on Twitter or listen to him when he was on NFL Live or done any other hit whatsoever, the dude is basically a general manager that works for ESPN.
Yeah, and he's replacing Booger McFarland, and
it's big difference. Big
yeah,
difference
exactly.
in the style. Big difference in the style and how they talk and present things.
There probably won't be. Well, he's injured, so he's not going back into the game. Picks or comments from Louis Riddick, like Booger
And
McFarland did.
hopefully this is the final version because quite frankly, before this era that we just entered right now, Monday Night Football had like 4 teams ever, and we had 3 in the past like 2 years.
Yeah, well, they tried doing the Jason Witten project. That didn't work. I I think Booger is a funny guy. I just don't think he's cut out to be on national. Like he could probably do a a game like a noon kickoff, but to be the Monday night where everybody's watching and everybody's critiquing nowadays, it was probably rough for him. I am really excited for the 3-man booth that they've got going for Monday Night Football. All 3 guys are well respected, and I I don't know.
Should be familiar if you're
Yep.
an ESPN person. They are familiar people that you've seen over long periods of time. So
And if you watch the draft,
yeah, like you said, yeah, if you watch the draft, you like listen up. I think they've all done Sports Center except Louis Riddick.
yeah,
So,
but Louis Riddick's probably my favorite of the 3. I'm really like when it got announced that he was doing it, I was like, all right, Monday night, this is going to be the one that they can stick with for a while because Louis Riddick, he's spot on almost with every analysis, everything. He's great.
yeah.
So Ashton, it is time for what's going on. We've got the NBA playoffs and then the UFC nickname picks for this coming fight this weekend.
Yeah, we're doing a week 1 breakdown of the entire schedule. And honestly, it's week 1, and when we get there, I'll explain I mean, you can do Martin. Do you want to do picks? Because honestly, I was just gonna talk about like stuff you should watch because week 1 is always like, guys, at some point, you just gotta learn how to have fun watching football again. Like some of you guys have lost your way. Some of you guys are like, I only care about games if there's money on the line. I'm like, maybe enjoy people pummeling each other into the ground for your entertainment a little bit more.
Yeah. Right. So do you want to start with the playoffs real quick?
Yeah, we're doing playoffs. We're gonna run through this real quick because some of these are decided, and some of them, only one of them, is really up in the air at this point.
Yeah, true. So you go ahead and take it away.
So we do have to pour one out for the homies that didn't make it this week. It's the Milwaukee Bucks. They got eliminated 4-1. Jimmy Butler spared them of the embarrassment of being swept in the second round of the playoffs this year. And just a reminder of how tough the NBA is. The reigning 2-time MVP can't get out of the second round of the playoffs.
Wait, did he officially won it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's guys. By the way, like we keep saying, eventual 2-time.
No.
There's nobody else.
Ashton, his crown.
Season award, guys. Which, by the way, I saw this really crazy ass stat. Only 5 times has the NBA MVP won in the finals.
Really?
Like won the championship. Shit's wild.
I didn't realize that.
I would imagine that all 5 of those times were Michael Jordan.
Probably.
But yeah, it's that, and Jimmy Butler showed them quite a bit amount of mercy there. Chris Middleton shut a lot of the haters up by leading the team to victory in Game 4 in a desperation type situation, going into overtime, playing like 54 minutes. Which, God, man, my legs hurt thinking about playing NBA basketball for 54 minutes on a basketball court. But hey, that's why they get paid millions of dollars, and that's why I watch them. So, that's just how tough it is to get out of the NBA playoffs, man. You can be 2-time MVP, have a really good second fiddle type guy, have an all first team defensive player in Brook Lopez, and still get smoked in the second round of the playoffs. Like, not even look close. Even in the game that you won by overtime, people were talking about how the Miami Heat like kind of gave that one away.
Yeah, it was the Bucks 2 series game. Like they never really impressed against the Magic, which was probably a sign that
Being the number one seed isn't all it's cracked up to be.
yeah, especially in the East. But the Heat, man, they are. What were they undefeated before that? They hadn't lost a game until the game 4 or whatever, and the
Yeah,
Bucks
yeah,
stole.
yeah. I mean, they're vicious, man. Those guys are. By the way, Tyler Hero's a goddamn monster.
Yeah,
Somebody should probably do something about that pretty soon here. And yeah, it was him. It was Jimmy doing his thing, both sides of the court. Tyler Hero knocking down crazy ass threes, combined with Bam Adebayo shutting down anybody who thinks that they're a big man. He was like, oh no, you misunderstand. I play big and I am big. You may appear to be large, but I am larger.
yep.
I am faster. I am stronger. And don't forget, him and Karl Anthony Towns used to play on the same Kentucky team. Anyway, just
Yeah,
something to point out.
the other side of the bracket, we've got the Raptors and the Celtics, and we brought up the NBA refs earlier in the show. If you watched Game 6, there's a lot of evidence to the
Thank God for
conspiracy.
challenges, bro.
There's a
Thank
lot
God
of
for
evidence,
challenges.
dude. There's a lot of evidence that the NBA was really trying to force a Game 7, especially the refs.
I saw the shots go down. I saw buckets get made. I saw good defense. I also heard a lot of whistles,
Yeah,
like maybe too many whistles.
dude,
And so
it was ridiculous. And you wanted to bring up this point, but so we'll get to it right now. Or actually, you just talked about it. The amount of minutes played in the overtime. Game
oh
6
yeah,
went to double overtime. I don't know if you saw the shot of Kyle Lowry leaving the court, going into the locker room. He looked spent. Like,
I'm surprised those guys like that's one of those situations, man. Martin, you know what I'm talking about here. People who listen to this podcast know. You sit down, it's hard to get back up.
yeah,
Like, it's hard to stand back. Like what? Like if you know yourself and you over the age of 25, you know you can't afford to sit down
yeah,
if you have 46 minutes. I would be standing up on the side and be like, I'm just trying to stay warm, coach, because I'm telling you right now, old people know this. They go in their house, they sit down on the bed, they never get back up.
yep. And
And it's yeah, it's just one of those things, man. And
he he just looked. I'm gonna
he
be
played 54 minutes.
So, it was yeah.
Everybody except Marc Gasol. What is it? So only two players didn't end up with double-digit points. It was Marc Gasol and oh man, what's Thomas's first name? Never mind.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they were the only two players who didn't end up with double-digit points. North Powell dominated. He had 23 points right off the bench. Kyle Lowry led the team with 33. He went 6 for 10 from the 3-point line and was nasty. Like Kyle Lowry, by the way, former Rocket. Really missed on that one, guys.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry's completely changed what we all thought about him as a basketball player in the playoffs, because I feel like he got a shit ton of respect in the regular season because he's a small dude that dominates amongst giants, right? He's only 6 feet tall. And that's small in the NBA. It's not small in the regular world. It's small in the NBA,
yeah,
right?
which is wild.
Yeah. Kyle Lowry joins Hassan Whiteside and Carmelo Anthony, two guys who came into the playoffs that people really had like a negative connotation towards, right? When it came into like key situations. Hassan Whiteside redefined what we thought about him. He held it down for the Portland Trailblazers to get them in a decent position to be able to compete for a playoff spot. And then Yusuf Nurkic came back. They were able to get that playoff spot, play really well in the playoffs. And even in those losses versus the Lakers, right? Hassan Whiteside still was able to come up with like pretty decent stats. He had multiple times where he scored double-digit points. He had multiple times where he had double-digit rebounds, right? Melo, a guy that we all now are rooting for based off of what we saw him do in the playoffs. Kyle Lowry was a guy that people used to clown in the playoffs because he had literally no clutch whatsoever. He had playoff games where he would score 0 points and he was the starting point guard of an NBA team.
Yep.
He has changed. And I don't know, like, if it's, there's something to be said about like what Kyrie Irving learned, right? When he hung out with LeBron James for a long period of time. There's something to be said for when there's something to be said for maybe, just maybe, Kyle Lowry saw what it took to be a Kawhi Leonard like player or a Marc Gasol type player to be there for your team when they need you most. And it changed the very essence of who he is as a basketball player, along with Fred VanVleet. All those guys learned together because, quite frankly, man, the Celtics are a great basketball team. And the Raptors came together as a unit and they played at a higher level of greatness than the Celtics did.
Yep. It
And it's insane.
Yeah, it took what was it? Like you mentioned, Powell off the bench, but one of the players that's really I'm probably gonna get his last OG and new. It's
Oh
Anunoby,
yeah,
right?
OG Anunoby. Yeah,
Anunoby. Okay, he these past couple of games, yeah, his points totals haven't been too high, but he is. I mean, you talk about Kyle Lowry being made fun of in the past for not being clutch. I mean, he is some of the. I mean, obviously the shot that he made in the last couple of seconds, which was a perfect pass from Kyle Lowry before we get into the shot. That pass from Kyle Lowry was something fucking else. Right into the what do they call it? The shooter's breadbasket,
the
and
breadbasket. Yeah,
just absolutely perfect. But OG hitting some clutch shots. He's been a fun player to watch. And the Raptors are just that scrap like they learned, like you just mentioned, they learned something from Kawhi and winning last year. Like they're scrappy. They don't.
and
They.
it may not have been. And my thing is like my thing is like it may not have been like something that he verbalized or anything like that, but they
Yeah.
saw what it took to take. They saw what it took in those 10 situations to come out on top.
Yeah.
They learned like the kind of pressure they have to put on themselves before the game puts the pressure on them
Hmm.
to be able to win playoff games.
And
So
the Celtics are probably my like. I'm not gonna say my favorite team, but if you were to ask me like in the East, who's your strongest team, I would have said the Celtics before the Bucks, just because they've got their starting five is almost like an NBA 2K, not like franchise mode
Kimba,
fantasy
Jason,
draft. Like
Kimba,
yeah,
Jason
Marcus
Tatum,
Smart,
yeah, Marcus Smart,
Brown, dude, Tatum. Like it is the starting five for. I mean, obviously they're center. Is it or Theus whatever. Obviously he's
Dice is what they
Dice.
call him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just there to get. He's just there to be the big guy down low. But
Wow,
I
the
mean,
disrespect.
but I mean, it shows how scrappy that the Raptors are that the Celtics and Marcus Smart and especially wanted to they wanted to scrap a little bit after that game because Marcus Smart he kind of took a
Marcus
beating
Smart
in
wanted to
Game
fight after a
6.
basketball game, guys. I mean, how many people were 0% surprised about that?
Yeah.
I'll raise my hand. 0% surprised that Marcus Smart wanted to fight after a basketball game that he lost.
Yeah, and what was it? His second career triple double. I mean, it took 50 minutes, but you gotta give shout out to Smart. He was
Got to get it done when you got to get it done by any
yeah.
means necessary. Yeah, the dude's a savage, man. Like, there's no question about that whatsoever. So,
And then
yeah.
so the Heat, they're just waiting for this next Game 7. They got theirs done quickly, so they get a couple extra days rest. I know on last week's show I brought up the fact that like the East, whoever wins in the conference finals, they're going to be sitting there for a while because
These
the
other two
Western,
ones. So.
yeah, the Western side of things where every team's won at least one game so far. I mean, unfortunately, it looks like the Nuggets and Clippers series is over. I don't know how much time you want to spend on that. It looks like the
Oh, guys, by
Clippers.
the way, the Clippers play elite level defense.
Yeah, I mean that's all it
The
is.
the biggest thing that came out of that is yesterday, Michael Porter Jr. They
Oh
asked
yeah,
him what he felt like could have been done better, and he basically was just like, distribute the ball a little bit more, like let other people score, and people took that as like you being selfish, and I'm like, that's hilarious.
yeah,
That's what y'all took out of that. And I'm like, literally, you're complaining about a professional basketball player wanting the ball in his hands, even though that's the number one critique of a guy like LeBron James.
yeah,
Where it's just like you don't want the ball in your hand in the last play of the game.
yeah.
So like which one is it? And I get it, they're not on the same level, but it's like Michael Porter Jr. is a huge part of why that team has been successful this year. He's had good games in the playoffs. He had good games in the bubble, and y'all like he just wants the ball. Like
Yep.
it's nothing wrong with him being like, hey man, like maybe Jamal Murray doesn't have to take every single fucking jumper or every
Yeah.
single shot off the wing. Maybe I get a couple points. Maybe I can help with the offense a little bit more. What's the worst that could happen? I turn the ball over. We're
Yep.
already doing that. Like
Yeah.
we're already doing that.
The Clipper that series is just matchup on just about every single position points towards the Clippers. And obviously they got Kawhi who is just blocking things with one finger somehow.
Yeah, he blocked. Yeah, I saw that he blocked that shot with his middle finger, which is,
It's just wild.
you know, it's. I mean, that's what happens when you have the hands of a giant. You know.
And then the last series that we haven't brought up yet, which the game tips off later tonight. What time is tip off tonight? Is it 6
Yo,
or
I think it's
7?
like the. I think it's the same time as the Texans game, bro.
Hold on, let me pull it up. Lakers, Houston, 6 o'clock Central tonight. So we'll have an hour of the an hour and a half of Rockets Lakers before we have to switch over to the Texans and
Switch.
Chiefs. Wait.
Insert Leonardo DiCaprio from Django meme. Laughing. Yeah, not switching, bro.
Ashton.
This is a dual screen household.
True. What are some of your takeaways so far of the Lakers being up 2-1?
Yo, man, LeBron James big as fuck. That's a large person. I don't know if anybody knew that or not. But anyway, there was another point that was being made about how Anthony Davis has been struggling with PJ Tucker, a man that he's significantly larger than. I just like to give you a stern reminder of like one of the old school rules of basketball. There's a difference between playing big and being big, and PJ Tucker plays big. And for some of you guys don't know what that means because you don't have enough experience with basketball. Some of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, and it's creating the illusion of, oh, there is not only resistance here, but there is a domineering force behind you, especially when your back is turned to the basket. That's the most important time when you can push somebody out of the way because they're leaning up against you. You can take ground away from them. PJ Tucker knows it. You've seen it happen multiple times if you've ever watched Chris Paul defend Kevin Durant and watch Kevin Durant brick the following shot. Because I saw that a bunch. Like the Warriors, when they played against the Rockets, they thought that was a mismatch for them. And it actually, I think the result out of it was like 2 for 7 one game that they had when it was Chris Paul versus Kevin Durant. And you can sit there and talk about it's like Kevin Durant just missed that shot that one time. And it's just like, no, like Chris Paul has an impact on like what he was able to do and which direction he was able to go and affected his ability. Same thing what PJ Tucker's doing. But yeah, man, it comes down to they're gonna, if the Lakers are gonna go all in on, hey, we're just gonna attack the paint, like these threes are worth more than the twos are worth more. The threes are worth more than the twos, but the twos can help us beat down a team to the point where in the fourth quarter they won't fight back.
Yep.
That's what it's got to become. I guess we got to fight. I guess we got to strap the gloves up because if y'all want to fight in the paint, you can't just get out the way. I'd like to imagine that PJ Tucker's a guy who one has been hitting the nuts in this playoff in these playoffs, is not one for being punked by dudes just because they're taller than him.
Yep.
So that being said, other guys too, big losses across the board. In particular, Daniel House Jr. If you haven't heard, I'll take this one from the top as well, Martin. Daniel House Jr. was not available for quote unquote personal reasons before Game 3. He's not available for Game 4, which is happening later on tonight here on Thursday. And the story goes according to Shan Sharania, who is the reporter for Stadium and The Athletic. The Athletic being the subscription paid service that I bought during the pandemic, which actually is helping me a ton.
Hey, they just really quickly, they announced that they came out of quote unquote quarantine, or like came out that they're over 1 million subscribers now.
Yeah, that makes sense. And of course it's $60 for an entire year. And it's every team you can possibly think of has multiple reporters writing about the teams. During quarantine, it was kind of annoying because they were doing lists and shit like that, but now they have sports to cover. They're writing all kinds of articles. It's actually really helpful for me. But anyway, the big thing to take out of this, Daniel House Jr. supposedly broke quarantine protocol because he had one of the COVID-19 personnel members come up to his room. She also apparently interacted with Tyson Chandler and a third unnamed player, which, by the way, Martin lets me know it was somebody important.
Yeah, it was
somebody. It may have been James. It may have been Russ.
With James's history, shall we say, with his love, can we say love of women? With his
hey, man, I'm right there with James. So like, there's no shame in here, but it's just how
none
it is,
here.
man.
But you and I talked about it before we went live. This is just a weird story because apparently she's inside.
She works there.
She is one of the testers, and so
administers one of the tests. Yeah.
Daniel House, he's a young, athletic
from
person.
Houston.
Yeah, and by all accounts, this is a very good looking COVID tester. What happens when two good looking people get along and hit things off? Things happen. People go, like, and
You
this
never
one,
know. You guys never know what anybody's kink is. Like
exactly, like,
House may be a nose tickle kind of guy. Who knows?
yeah, I mean, to me, it is what it is. Like, if they are both in the bubble, they're both clean. Yeah, there's a rule: nobody inside out, like inside the player hotel or whatever that rule is, and they were able to see which doors opened at what time. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just sex. Like it's not.
And on top of that, he says that there was no inappropriate contact between the two.
Oh,
So,
so then there you go. They were
mainly,
probably watching a movie or something together.
yeah, that too. And it's just like that happened. Um, plus, combined with like they have no video evidence of anything happening. They just know that she was in there and she left it like in the morning on Tuesday or whatever,
Mm,
and she got through like security multiple times or whatever. Like the security that was there at the facility,
yep.
they kind of flagged it a little bit, but she got through security because she has like credentials to go inside the facility or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's that. It's a weird story because it seems like a woman who has been a part of the testing protocol that is stringent, or if not more stringent than what the players are going through.
Yep.
And there's no, you know what I mean? Like that's the biggest concern here. Is just it's really weird that he's not available without any. And also
Yeah.
the team, by the way, the entire Rockets team, because they're staying on the same floor, has been in quarantine, quote unquote, since Tuesday.
Yeah.
So they've been on lockdown. So
So
they haven't been able to like go to other places in the resort and stuff like that, I think.
we've heard about House. What is Tyson Chandler's situation? Like,
Tyson Chandler also, they announced it before the game that he's like leaving the bubble, or like he's not available or something. He's not available for the game, I think is what they said. But it was really weird because I was like, Tyson Chandler hasn't played any damn minutes.
I was gonna say, I haven't fucking seen him. Where, like, is he even in the bubble?
By the way, it's really wild to think about where Tyson Chandler is now in his
Oh
career.
yeah,
He
true.
won a championship with Dallas and won Defensive Player of the Year, and he is now like not playing at all.
He's just a journeyman now.
That's wild, man.
Yeah. While we're really quickly, I just want to get this in while we're on the topic of men and women hanging out during quote unquote in the quarantine and all that stuff.
This is going.
2 members of the English soccer team have been removed from the squad because they had an Icelandic model and her cousin or sister come over and break quarantine rules and stay in the house, and they got caught because somebody, she claims it wasn't her, posted a video on Snapchat of them discussing with Mason Greenwood and Greenwood and Philip Foden, a 20 and an 18-year-old, discussing how they were going to break into the facility. And she claims it's not her, but it's literally like, how are you going to get a video of that conversation? It's just a weird situation, but it's an 18, 19-year-old and a 20-year-old soccer player for England. Like, I mean, they got kicked off the team for not following rules.
Side note, who snitched?
Oh, the Snapchat. That's how they got caught.
Nah, somebody had to tell them.
It was
about the Snapchat, Martin.
No, it was geolocation. Or yeah, probably. But like, when you can like go to a certain spot and see what videos have been posted from there on Snapchat, like on the Snapchat map, there's literally like her videos and photos of Mason Greenwood and Philip Foden next to the bed, and it's the same caption on both of them, which is weird. And it's just ha 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 ha. So it's a weird situation. I looked into it. She is she's attractive.
Martin's over here like, I did my research, guys. I did my due diligence.
But yeah, they so yeah, while we're on the topic of House.
By the way, while we're talking about possibly catching COVID-19, your girl Paige and her husband.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's
Sorry,
unfortunate.
Hopefully they're all gonna recover and they're gonna be all right, man. That's sad.
That's unfortunate.
Rough year for Paige. Van Zandt, by the way. So, Paige Van Zandt, and as the famously now known Mr. Van Zandt, is what her husband's name is. My thing is like, wasn't he like on a Bellator card like a couple months ago? I think so. Be wilding.
He definitely had a recent fight because I saw her post about it on Instagram. But yeah, couple of sports. COVID still having an impact. Ashton taking our Rockets fandom out of it, the Lakers are up 2-1. Is this series over kind of like the Trailblazers was, or do you see the Rockets somehow coming back? Because personally, I don't see how they stop what I would call the ground. It's not ground and pound, but the what you were talking about going inside the fourth quarter for the past two games, the two losses, the fourth quarter, the Rockets haven't even looked like a playoff team. Like they don't look like they belong on the court with the Lakers in the fourth quarter these past two games.
Yeah, man. My biggest thing that comes out of this situation is I look at them and I'm just like, yo, man, are you guys doing what you're known for doing? And I will say this: they're trying to mix it up a little bit more. Everybody claiming that Russell Westbrook had a good game last game and they lost. I mean, I guess points are good, but that wasn't a good Russell Westbrook game. It wasn't effective and it wasn't helpful to the situation. There was times like late in the fourth because remember that game was close until like multiple turnovers in a row, multiple failed offensive possessions in a row, and then the Lakers were up by 10 and they couldn't catch up to them. Yeah, and it was with like 4 minutes left, right? Yeah. So that's how close that game was. That game was back and forth until the very end, which makes me think like you get a cut like we were talking about with Paul George, right, Martin? When he was calling himself playoff P and everybody was like, yeah, nah, dog. Like playoff pandemic is more like what it is, man. But he started hitting a couple shots here or there. He started moving the ball around a little bit more. He started attacking the rim a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, he's playing at the level that makes the Clippers be so dominant that you forget that even happened within the same playoff series, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what is on the line for the Rockets, man. We've seen that they're more than capable of coming out here and beating anybody, especially the Lakers. Like I mentioned, they're 2-0 versus the Lakers in the regular season. Regular season's the regular season. This is the playoffs. But there's only so much you can do when LeBron James decides he's going to turn it on, right?
Yep.
And the Rockets have been the Rockets have been on his neck before, right? In terms of like putting that pressure on him as a basketball player to go out there and make great plays. And I think they can do that again. It just comes down to some defensive adjustments. I have faith in D'Antoni, man. I really do. I know you don't believe in him or anything like that.
None.
But I've seen him overcome the poor shooting from the team. I've seen them be in like games that they should not be in based off of like the number of threes that they've missed. I've seen them go out there and excel. That's my thing. That's what gives me faith.
My last take on it is whoever the stadium person handling like the what's it like the graphics and stuff. Can we please get a beat LA just once? Can we somehow get the beat LA chant?
Yeah, man. I mean, the Rockets like for a long time, Houston was like the torchbearers for beat LA because they were literally like they always matched up with the Jazz or the Lakers in the playoffs, and it was beat LA all over the city, bro.
Beat LA. Can we just get it one? That's all I'm asking for is just one. Beat LA. Time. Like even if we have to do it through Zoom, can we just please get a beat LA chant? But yeah, that's the playoffs so far, Ashton. We've got 3 series still up for grabs to get into the conference finals. We've got Toronto and Boston, I believe there, and then Clippers and Nuggets. They're playing both Friday night, if I'm correct, and then tonight, as we record on Thursday, September 10th. We've got Game 4 between the Rockets and the Lakers. The Lakers looking to push it to series point. But yeah, let's move right along to the other big thing going on today, which is.
Are you ready for some football?
Oh, dude!
A Monday night party. Sorry.
At least it's not the ESPN Monday Night Football Thursday night game, because those were so fucking cringe back when they did that, dude. Like at least we're getting Thursday Night Football from the.
By the way, Queen Latifah's doing the intro tonight.
Nice. Also,
because beat racism, bro.
Yeah. Apparently.
Also, shout out to Queen Latifah. I think she's having a kid pretty soon. Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, apparently ESPN's dropping Hank Williams Jr. from
I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just type his name in. Like literally, I swear to God, it comes up so quick. It might be on the second page of the Google search, but it comes up fast. It really does, and he's made it very clear what he gets down with. Anyway, also, I mean, dude made a jam. He really did.
Yeah, he did. I mean, we still yell it. One thing before we get into it, somebody posted Do you remember the Coors Light commercial years ago? The Twins.
Oh,
Ah,
that was definitely
love
PFT.
quarterbacks eating dirt. Pom pom. That one, dude. That when I saw that, was it PMT or
That's
PFT?
PFT, yeah,
Dude,
PFT
when I
commercial.
saw that one is nostalgic and 100% would not make it on TV today in 2020. Like that is,
Also, it doesn't look like it's actually real. That's the funny part.
yeah,
Like it doesn't. It looks like it's a fake. It looks like somebody made a commercial from the '90s
yeah,
today
yeah.
to make like a spoof of a YouTube video. That's wild. But
So,
yeah,
Ashton, we're going into the NFL Week One. No preseason, so we have nothing to
expect
base.
them injuries to come fast
Uh,
and furious, baby.
Yeah, hopefully your fantasy leagues have an IR slot or two because a couple players are probably it's going to be a rough going, especially the first couple weeks because yeah, they've had scrimmages, yeah, they've had practice. You can ask anybody that's played football, nothing compares to the live action when you're not going up against your own teammates anymore. You're going up against people that want to beat you.
Sorry, I had to
No,
snort some football. Go ahead.
keep taking it in because we are finally here. Sports is canceled at the start of the year. We've gotten through that part of the mud. The NFL has decided to not do a bubble. Instead, we're going to do the sort of the MLB side of things where you get tested and hopefully everything's good from there. But we're going to go into
Hopefully
this.
nobody goes out to a strip club. Hopefully nobody goes out to get some lemon pepper wings from some random place.
Oh my god.
Hopefully, we can only hope.
I cannot wait. I've put in a pre-order for my wings to get here at 6:50 so that I can be eating wings once the game kicks off tonight at 7:20. Ashton, it is both of our hometown teams, our team, the Houston Texans. Obviously, we have talked at length this off season about our differences with the Texans. However, we're both fans. How do you see this game going tonight in at Arrowhead Stadium? There will be fans in the stands against the Chiefs. How do you see this game going?
Hopefully they don't show any of those fans because it'll be sad. Anyway, so we start off here at the top, right? Chiefs have prolific level offense, we think, right? Because let's be honest, everybody regresses. Typically, that's how it goes. Like everybody takes a step back, mainly because there's all types of fucking footage of things that you did, tendencies that you developed. Even Andy Reid has admitted that he's fallen into some of his old tendencies, despite the fact that he's basically revolutionized the game somehow at 70 something as a Mormon in Kansas City. So he combined with the fact that the Texans defense is probably its biggest concern yet again. Martin, how many times in the Texans have existed for 18 years, and there's been maybe 4 years where the secondary has been just straight up lockdown. You don't have to worry about it. This year, big concerns as well. In particular, in this matchup, we know Bernard McKinney at any point or Bernardrick McKinney, who is the middle linebacker, star linebacker for the Houston Texans, should never at any point be lined up over Travis Kelce.
Yep.
It's going to either have to be a safety or it's going to have to be a corner. Last year when they played the Chiefs, it was a corner, and it was Lonnie Johnson Jr., who is their slot corner / rookie. You have to wonder, has he learned anything in just a couple of years? So, or just a couple of months since the last time that matchup happened? Have the Texans made defensive adjustments? Don't forget that aspect of it. It's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus Bernardrick McKinney. My money's on Bernardrick. I like him a lot. Shout out to Zach Cunningham, who actually signed for a big deal for him as well. Biggest concern, those corners, man. Those corners. And on top of that, not even just the corners, the reactions to crossing routes, because that is the biggest issue. It's you think it's hard to keep up with a guy who's lightning fast. It's even harder to pass him off to another NFL football player who sees him coming and making sure that you don't. It's like running a relay race in the middle of the field with somebody else trying to run a relay race in the opposite direction to make sure that you don't get confused. It's super hard, and it's a backbone aspect of the Kansas City Chiefs offense of utilizing alignment barriers in terms of like guys that are basically overlapping each other on the field to create confusion. Combine that with the Texans offense potentially being pretty fucking good. The Kansas City Chiefs defense was not great last year. And if the progress that we saw with the offensive line carries over to this year, Martin, we may be looking at one of the highest scoring games of the entire regular season here.
Yeah, I think the NFL did that on purpose, Ashton. We've got Deshaun and Patrick, the two faces. It's safe to say the two new faces of the NFL now.
After the year of the black quarterback, we start this year off with two black quarterbacks, and not only just two of them, two of the most prolific ones.
And yeah, I like the fact that you brought up the defense for the Texans, because one thing I think Texans fans, or some Texans fans, might not realize, there's a new defensive coordinator in town.
Who used to be an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Anthony Weaver taking over for Romeo Crennel. He's kind of been flying under the wing of some of the more famous defensive coaches. He's got he was under Rex Ryan for a while, and for everybody that knows Rex Ryan, the Ryan brothers, they are defensive gurus.
They know what they're
yep.
doing. Mm-hmm.
Yep, their dad.
You know their daddy. He was
yep.
real good.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see how he calls the game compared to Romeo Crennel. A lot of people criticize Romeo, especially last season, for not really adapting to the situation at hand.
Shout out to Romeo Crennel, soon to be Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, he's going in the Hall of Fame as soon as he's eligible. He obviously winning the Super Bowls he did with the Patriots, and just being a class act. Like, you can't really say anything negative about Romeo Crennel. It just seemed like it was time, like it was like, it's like Jordan with in playing for Washington. Like, it was just time to hang it up. He's done everything. He tried his best. Today's NFL may have passed up his defensive philosophy. I'm really interested to see how Anthony Weaver handles it. The offensive side of the ball is almost a fantasy drafted Madden team from a couple of years ago. Sean Watson, David Johnson, the two Johnsons basically. Will Fuller. It'll be interesting to see how many games he makes it through this season.
It's gonna be dope for these first 4 games of the season. Y'all know what time it is.
Yeah.
I wonder, dude. I'd love to know if he's actually gotten slower. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Because most dudes get faster in the NFL than when they were in college, which is hard to believe because they were lightning fast when they were in college. But they get faster just because they're around fast people all the time, and they're pushing themselves to a different limit. They have the money to be able to pay for like elite level personal training, the best food on the face of the planet.
Yep.
Because a lot of dudes are drifting further. Marcellus Bennett, Marcellus Bennett. Not Martellus. Who am I thinking of? Michael Bennett.
Bennett, yeah.
Michael Bennett talks about all the time. He's like, yeah, dude, I don't really like lift weights like y'all think I do. Mm-hmm. I go and he does like a ton of plyometric stuff. And it was because he had to work on things that were going to help him be more viable to the situation. And on top of that, the plyometric stuff helps work on your body being able to create more impact. And that's what his primary goal was, because when you make more foot drive, impact makes you faster. I'm just wondering if Will Fuller's actually gotten faster or slower. That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. On the defensive side of the ball, there's two players. Obviously, we know JJ, Benderek, and Zach, and Whitney. There's two players that I want to keep an eye on because
Jordan Reed.
No. It is Charles Menahue and Brendan Scarlett, the other outside linebacker. Those two players have a lot of stepping up to the plate, shall we say. Charles Menahue had I'm not going to say amazing year last year, but I think he played better than what was expected of him. But he wasn't a starter. He was the kind of change of pace. If JJ or somebody wanted a playoff, he came in. Now, DJ Reader's gone. So what's going to happen clogging up the middle? We've got
opportunities.
We've got our a dude that we used to cover back when we did high school for Ben, Ross Blacklock. He was drafted second in the second round by the Texans. The first depth chart came in. I believe he's third on the depth chart, but I think that might be a little bit of playing some games,
yeah, because if you go look at other depth charts, I was looking at the Colts? I was looking at the Colts depth chart, and Michael Pittman Jr. is second on one of the wide receiver levels. And I'm like, yeah, it's because he's either the second or the third receiver,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like he's still gonna be on the field, and it gets weird sometimes. But yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
So pay attention to see this week 1 and just across this season. Charles Manahue and Brennan Scarlett, because Brennan Scarlett, I believe he was one of the players that kind of became a Texan fan favorite on the special teams and has kind of worked his way up to being a starter. And so um, let's see how he does. I mean,
Yeah, so that's Thursday night football. That's tonight at 7:20 if you're listening to the show live. The other games here, we break down all the Sunday ones. We'll start off with the boring ones off the top here.
are we not gonna do? Are we not picking? Are we not gonna? I'm gonna.
Oh, go ahead, man. What do you got?
I don't know.
Wow. Ask, are we picking? And then says, I don't know, bro.
Um,
There are so many noon games. God
I
damn.
know.
All the teams play on week 1. That's the wild part, man.
Do I think Houston goes into Kansas City and wins week 1 with a whole new offense?
I'll tell you right now. I'll pick the Texans. I think they can hang with. My biggest thing is like the Texans can hang with a lot of teams, and I get it. The Chiefs is supposed to be, the end all be all. A lot of people calling them to go back to back, which is insane to think about in the modern day NFL. But
Yep.
I'll take the Texans, man. It's week 1 of the season, and it's mainly off the strength that I believe in Deshaun Watson, and I also believe in Bill O'Brien.
See, here's the thing. I know what we're gonna get from Kansas City. It's a whole new Texans offense. I'm going with Kansas City.
Wow, what a hater! I'm just kidding. Makes you more realistic.
Yeah, we're at odds on that one. Let's make our way through the rest of Week 1's actions. Anything?
Jets Bills. This is hilarious. From the top, Jets Bills. They're playing in Buffalo, which I don't think Buffalo is allowing. It's in New York, so they're not allowing fans. So
they might be because there's tickets being sold. Like I'm looking at what the site I'm looking at right now. There's tickets being sold for every one of these games.
I thought the entire state of New York was like, fuck that.
So shit. Did I.
That's the whole New York, or was it just New York City?
I don't. You break down this game for us real quick. I'm gonna look up which games are gonna have fans at, or try to.
So Jets Bills. This one, expectations super low for the Jets. Expectations really high for the Bills. Bills coming into this season with the best opportunity to win the AFC East they've had in 20 years. I think it's safe to say that. Josh Allen, or it's Cam Newton Light, as I like to call him, is in a precarious situation. A lot of people believe in him, which is great. In this game, he's probably going to go out here and show out. He's going to ball out. The Jets defense is taking a lot of hits. They are not going to have their starting middle linebacker. They're also going to be down Jamal Adams. They have traded away multiple draft picks. They have a good chunk of free agents coming in. Also, some people don't like Adam Gase that are on that team, which, hey, who doesn't like their who can go to a job where everybody loves their boss? Come on. The Buffalo Bills could be carrying on some not even momentum. They are a team that is invested in this year in getting better, and the Jets are invested in getting better next year.
Yep.
Is the way to define this one. So the Bills coming out here, which, by the way, I have my fingers fucking crossed because I have Stephon Diggs in multiple leagues, and I think it may be time to hit the Jets on these fools. But yeah, it's probably gonna be a bad day for the Jets on this one, man. Their defense was trash last year, and there's not much to say that they've gotten better. And by the way, their defense was trash last year because they spent so much fucking time on the field.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, and this is. Is this the year, Martin? Is this the year that we're judging Sam Darnold, and whatever happens this year, we stop having a conversation about Sam Darnold, or we start looking at him as a legitimate prospect of being like a legitimately good quarterback? Because we've been waiting on that year, and there's always been something that gets in the way, right?
Yeah, like a girl at a bar in Buffalo, which is where they're going to be.
I can't. Hey! I can't hate on you, player. It's all good.
Just make sure she doesn't have mono the next time that you make out with her.
By the way, how was she out and she had mono? That's my question.
That's a weird one.
How was she not unconscious like when she had mono? Like,
yeah, maybe she already had mono in her life and she was just a carrier.
Like one of those things where like once you beat it, like it's still in your system and it's like it can still be transferable to people.
And I thought you can't get mono twice either, right? Like it's one of those ones. I might be completely wrong on that.
I would say and when it comes to medicine, I say never say never.
Yeah.
because motherfuckers can get chicken pox twice, and I used to think that was impossible. So
All right. So I've got a list of all Week 1 NFL stadiums and
by the
if
way, I'm
they're going to
picking the
allow
Bills
fans.
on that
Oh
game.
yeah,
But yeah,
there's not much. There's not much to break down. That you brought
I'm
up the
not.
Jets defense, and they somehow got worse. I
Oh, by
mean,
the way, yeah,
no.
I will say this, Martin. Big thing to pay attention here for fantasy purposes or just football purposes in general. How many carries Devin Singletary gets?
Yeah.
Because Zach Moss could be taking his job,
Yep.
and
And
he
then on the
just
other
got
side
here.
of the ball, other side of the ball, you've got Le'Veon Bell and Frank Gore, which apparently some people
Frank
have
Gore in year 57 of
yeah,
his NFL career,
playing until
a
his son gets to the NFL.
By the way, I still think that's got to be. It's got to suck so much when Frank Gore's your dad, because like anything you try and beat him in athletically, he's better than
Better than you, yeah.
Like you're never like your kid. You're gonna tell your kids you can beat grandpa at basketball in the at basketball in the driveway, and they still can't because Frank Gore could probably still dunk when he's like 73.
So the Bills are not going to have any fans in the stands for at least the two first home games of the season. So no fans for the Jets, and then when they play the Rams later this month at home. So that I'm going with the Bills. That is.
Shout out to the Mafia. They'll be. Hey, I'm gonna tell you this right now. They may not be in the stadium, but they're gonna be busting them tables in the parking lot. I tell
yeah,
you
it's
that
gonna.
much.
The CBS is gonna probably show.
Break these tables,
Yeah,
Mark.
CBS is gonna find somebody breaking tables in their pregame
It's
discussion.
gonna be funny. It's gonna be funny them doing pregame from like people's houses. Like they go to fans' houses that are like they're like tailgating out in the front yard.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Like, yeah, we're about 30 minutes away from the stadium.
Yep. So I'm going Bills. You're going Bills. Let's move right along because we've got
I
a
got
long list of
Packers
games.
Vikings right here. I got Packers Vikings right here. This is another noon game, also very very important game, because a lot of you have wandered from your faith. A lot of you, for some reason,
Yep.
have lost faith in A-Rod.
Right.
I just don't understand it. How many times he got to teach you fools these lessons? Also, I saw at one point where Aaron Rodgers said something in an interview just specifically so that a reporter had to write it because it was a legitimate quote about him saying that he loves Matt LaFleur. He says, me and Matt LaFleur, his head coach for the Green Bay Packers, are hashtag friend goals.
Yeah.
And I was like, he literally said that, so you had to write it.
Yep.
Because he literally said that, so you, with your actual collegiate degree as a journalist, would have to write that into a newspaper that would be printed and read by thousands. Anyway, Packers versus Vikings. Vikings coming back. This is an interesting year for the Vikings. Mike Zimmer, who's probably one of the best coaches in the NFL that a lot of people don't really talk about. Deion Sanders says that Mike Zimmer is his favorite coach ever.
Wow.
Yeah, it's big praise. By the way, apparently Deion has his show already going up on Barstool, so check that out, I guess. Actually, don't check that out. I don't know why I just said that. I like Deion, but I hate Barstool. You know that. Do with that information what you will. Vikings, they're playing in Minnesota. The Minnesota Vikings, for the first time in a long time, they have this kid named Cam Dantzler, who has like kind of a dope name. Cam Dantzler, he is the corner that everybody's looking forward to watching dominate or watching ball out of control this year. The Vikings as a whole are a team that is centered around having the best secondary that they possibly can at any given point. That's why they valued Xavier Rhodes for such a long period of time. They did in a trade get Yannick Ngakoue, who should help the front four up front, which of course will reduce the amount of time you have to be in good coverage position as a corner. The other stuff to watch here, Justin Jefferson from LSU.
Yep.
The Jay Jetta himself, that's a guy you want to pay attention to. Dalvin Cook, how long can he stay healthy? Martin?
Can Kirk Cousins find Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson the ball? The Vikings
more than 5 yards away, the answer is no.
Yeah, the Vikings are one of the I guess dark horses to possibly win the Super Bowl this year.
Their team is loaded, bro. Like their team is just loaded with dudes. It just comes down to
Kirk Cousins. Yeah,
somebody's willing to give motherfuckers the ball.
Yeah.
Also, Kyle Rudolph, sleeper tight end position.
Yeah.
Sleeper tight end pick. He was also on Bussin' with the Boys. He was really cool until the end of that interview when he said, "I'm Team Portnoy." So he was really dope. I think he's
up until that point. You liked
that interview, except that one point.
Yeah.
But other stuff, the Packers. The Packers are coming back, coming off of like one of their best pass rushing seasons of the entire year, right? With the Smith brothers. They have Zaire Alexander, who's potentially going to be one of the best corners in the NFL for a good chunk of time here. He was this rookie corner who dominated against multiple superstar level wide receivers. That's the makeup of their defense as a whole. Also, the maybe most overrated linebacker in the NFL, and Blake Martinez. He's very much in the same vein as Kiko Alonso, who I tried to get on this show just so I could say Kiko Alonso on it as well. Kiko Alonso used to play for the Miami Dolphins. That was like home to him because his parents he's first generation Cuban American. So his parents, like, they was in that shit, like for real with the Fidel Castro stuff. Yep. So that's also why he hates Colin Kaepernick, by the way. If anybody ever went, like, he legit hates Colin Kaepernick because he wore that Fidel Castro shirt one time, and I was like, that's understandable. I get that.
Yeah.
Like, for real. That dude is literally the nightmare of some people's dreams. He used to run in people's houses, scoop dudes up, and kill them in the streets. Anyway, what was I talking about? Blake Martinez. That's how my brain works, right? Blake Martinez has nothing to do with Kiko Alonso or Fidel Castro, but Blake Martinez, overrated type linebacker. Anyway, This game, you know what, Martin? This team is probably going to end up over 500, so naturally the Vikings won't be able to beat them. I'll take the Packers.
Going Packers. All right. The Vikings first two. It seems as though a lot of the teams are going with a very similar policy. The Vikings first two home games, no fans. But for me, I need to see Green Bay prove it. Especially with how...
I'm going to tell you this right now. Beating the Vikings isn't impressive. That's not a prove-it type game.
Really? See, I think it is. Because Green Bay struggled against the Vikings both games they played last year. So
divisional.
Yeah, it's a division opponent. Matt LaFleur's offense... If it doesn't work out this year, he's gone. I mean, they've kind of... That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just not either A-Rod's got to go or LaFleur's got to go if it doesn't work this year. I'm going Minnesota. They are. Wow. I like everything about their. I like everything.
Not even a new man. The same man on the Minnesota Vikings. Not even a new one.
I like the Minnesota's defense. I love the way they play the game. The way that they're strong from the front seven and the back four. They're just solid. And until Green Bay proves it, I'm gonna go with the Vikings.
All right, there you go. Moving on to this next one, I got Philly versus Washington. This is also a noon game. They're in Washington. Oh boy. Carson Wentz is supposedly at 100%, which gives the Eagles a huge advantage over Washington since they are at 100% at most positions and still suck. So, yeah, man, this is a tough one. By the way, guys, to watch in this one, if he gets into the game and gets a couple of touches, Jalen Reagor from Waxahachie, Texas, went to TCU, supposed to be the speed guy on the squad. Zach Ertz, of course, is always a dude to pay attention to. I feel like a lot of people were disrespecting him coming off this season where he played multiple games with broken ribs. Anyway, moving on. Also, Miles Sanders is the guy to pay attention to, who used to be Saquon Barkley's backup at Penn State, had a breakout season last year, could potentially be cooking it up as a legit, he could have the juice, especially with Jordan Howard out of the way. That's the universal sign of, we believe in this dude, or we're going to go with this guy. Washington, on the other hand, Dwayne Haskins, people already hate him in Washington for reasons. I don't know what those reasons are because I did not subject myself to the suffering of watching the Washington football team play last year.
Yep.
They don't have a tight end. They have two wide receivers, one of which we know, Martin.
Yeah,
Steven Sims Jr.
He was my last pick in our draft in the league that
there was a couple of dudes that I wanted to reach out and text and be like, "Hey, motherfucker, I drafted you in my fantasy league. Can we not fuck this up?" I know it's a rookie season, but I'm just kidding. It's Steven Sims Jr.'s second year. He's from Travis High School. He went to the same high school Hakeem Butler did, which, sad to say, Hakeem Butler got cut on cut day. So, Steven Sims Jr. and, of course, the one they're calling him. What is it? F1 Terry McLaurin?
Mm-hmm.
Is it M1
or Scary
M1
Terry?
Yeah, Scary Terry's way better. But M1 is really cool because it's like a speed thing. It's
Yeah.
a McLaurin because his last name sounds like McLaren. Terry McLaurin, who is a potential breakout wide receiver this year. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. The Washington defense is non-existent. They actually you could argue, Martin, they got worse, like a lot worse.
Yeah.
Josh Norman, who used to be everybody's go-to, like Josh Norman's on that defense. He was good. Josh Norman now plays for the Buffalo Bills. He also did not practice today, which means he's probably not playing on Sunday.
Yep.
So fun.
They've got
I'll be
Chase
taking
Young.
The Eagles.
Yeah,
I'll be taking the Eagles.
We've got Chase Young, who's kind of been the. There's always one player where the NFL Twitterverse shares the videos of them dominating people. Chase Young, seems to be the.
Shout out to D-Line Videos. That's a dope Twitter account and Instagram account. They just show like offensive linemen getting fucking clowned by defensive linemen. It's fucking amazing.
But the Washington, they could possibly have the number 1 draft pick come this time next year. Dwayne Haskins, for the limited times that I saw him on TV last year, just I don't know. Is it his accuracy? Is it his arm strength? There's just something about him that just I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But
you guessed it, guys. Washington got worse.
They let go of AP.
They let go of Adrian Peterson. They lost their left tackle. They lost their best corner.
Yep. They also let Darius Geis go as well. So Antonio Gibson.
Understandable because that shit sounds like it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Antonio Gibson is now the starting running back. I have him in my main league simply because I was expecting Mark Ingram to. Yeah, exactly. Like the draft day story. I saw Mark Ingram, excuse me. He was sitting there. Nobody was drafting him. No one had even mentioned his name. I was sitting there, had him in my queue. The pick before me was at a bar. Another guy says, "Is Mark Ingram still on the board?" And the guy looks, and I happened to say, "Please no," and they heard me. And so the guy making the pick goes, "Oh, Martin, you wanted Mark Ingram here?" Click, drafts him, even though he already had 4 running backs and has no way of start. Like it's a 3-star. You start 3. You could have possibly started. You can. I can't speak right now.
Have too many than too little.
The only reason he grabbed him is because I said something, and so I didn't have a backup plan. I was set on getting Ingram, and so I sat there. I had no fucking clue who I wanted to draft, and literally drafted Antonio Gibson for Washington because he's the starting running back now that he doesn't really have any competition, but the Philadelphia Eagles
must be nice to go in that running back room and have all that leg room to stretch out, man.
The Eagles should handle this one very easily. Washington, no fans in the stands, and they haven't announced. They are going to do it on a week-to-week policy basis on if they'll allow fans in the stands. So,
which sounds like a really good hustle.
Yeah,
you're like, hey,
you might not
get in trouble for letting people in, but the cases are a little bit higher this week.
Yep.
We'll drop it off.
So I'm going Eagles on that one.
All right, so we're both going Eagles on that one. So I went Packers, Martin went Vikings. I went Bills, Martin went Bills. I went Texans, Martin went Chiefs. Moving on, Browns versus Ravens. The dream team. That's right, the Cleveland Browns. Absolutely stacked. They got Austin Hooper from Atlanta fighting it out with David Njoku, so they could be going a little double tight end. Nick Chubb was one of the best running backs in the NFL last season, in comparison to his other counterpart in Baker Mayfield, who was like slightly below average last season. They have Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr., and it took Jarvis Landry 2 seasons to get accustomed to the way that Baker Mayfield plays. I would like to imagine that's the same thing that's going to happen with Odell Beckham Jr., and this is that second year, baby. It may be that time, Martin. It may be time. Also, don't pay attention to the defense because that's what the Browns are hoping you're not going to do either.
Yep.
Myles Garrett, though, getting that big money. Shout out to
he's
Myles Garrett.
Off of the commissioner list, or commissioner's exempt list for hitting the dude with the helmet.
Because, like, straight up, like, nobody likes Mason. Like, universal sign that nobody likes you. It's hard to believe that anybody's out here like supporting Mason Rudolph other than the fact that he's like hardcore MAGA. Because, like, most of y'all didn't even know he existed.
Yeah.
Like, me and Martin knew that he went to Oklahoma State, and we knew he wasn't good. But,
Yeah,
like, y'all didn't know who he was until that fateful night
where he got hit in the...
he took his own helmet to the head. Like, once again, I'd like to remind you, stomped Myles Garrett in the nuts, and then proceeded to play victim in a fight where he just got his ass beat. Just say. Anyway, I'll take. They're playing the Ravens. From what I hear, the Ravens are pretty good, Martin.
Yeah.
By the way, I will say this: Ty Schulter. I swear to God, bro, I read that profile that you wrote on Marquise Brown, and it convinced me that Marquise is about to come out here and light this league on fire. I drafted him in like 7 of my 9 leagues, bro.
Yeah, he's...
If that was a if I come to find out that was a fluff piece, I'm coming for you, dog. Because it was that good. It got me, and then of course, like the following week, he released the Sammy Watkins piece, which was dope as fuck. And he was actually very kind to a person who was saying some things that were absolutely absurd. But yeah, I'm banking on Marquise Brown, bro. Like, I'm banking on Marquise Brown to come out here and ball out of control, because now he doesn't have that foot injury that led to like the knee injury and everything like that. He's 100% healthy. They say he's gotten like super duper swole. I'll believe it when I see it. He's got Mark Andrews, dope tight end. He's got Mark Ingram combined with him. Combined with the increased pass rush of the situation. That's with Calais Campbell, who, if you don't know, is 6'7". That's also a thing that they always bring up in broadcast. 6'7". Combine him with Matthew Judon, who, by the way, from Alabama, used to play there. He used to be one of those gigantic behemoth people that would just swallow up dudes that were half his size all the time. Also, this is a really important time that I point this out, Martin, so make sure you pay close attention. Earl Thomas is still unsigned. Anyway, moving on. Just thought I'd point that out. What you got, Martin?
This is in the gamer world, a salty run back by the Baltimore Ravens. Not a lot of changes from the team that almost got to the Super Bowl last year. Salty run back basically means you kind of just take what you lost, and you literally take that exact same team and you just run it back because you're salty that you lost. Lamar Jackson coming back. Mark Ingram again. Not a lot of changes at all on the offensive side of the ball for the Ravens. Also, the defensive side of the ball, Marcus Peters is there. He's had an entire offseason in their system. Player that I'm keeping my eye on is Patrick Queen. He's going to be the inside linebacker for
LSU, baby.
Yep, inside linebacker for the Ravens. A lot of people have been talking him up, and I read one article that said he could lead the league in tackles. We're just going to have to wait and see how he fits in there. He was their first-round pick, and the Ravens, let me find them, will play in an empty stadium for at least the initial part of 2020. So,
all right, Martin, here we go. I'm taking the Browns.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. I'm going Ravens in a landslide.
Yeah, I don't fall for that sucker shit.
All right.
Anyway,
let's move right along.
Thursday, bro. Sucker-free Thursday, bro. If you used to watch BET, you know exactly.
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm
I don't really have any takes on the Browns.
I have takes on the Browns. I'm expecting a divisional matchup here.
Yeah, I'm all Baltimore. They're too stacked, I think, for the Browns.
Say that, but I just listed off like 7 names that you know. I just listed off Jarvis Landry. I just said Odell Beckham Jr. I just said Austin Hooper. I just said David Njoku, who a lot of y'all didn't believe in because of Hard Knocks. I also said Nick Chubb.
Yeah, but you also said to ignore the defense.
I just said Baker Mayfield.
Because there's really the Browns are, I don't know, the Browns kind of in the Texans territory. They've got the offensive weapons, but what's happening on the defensive side of the ball? I'm going Baltimore.
Greedy Williams going down before the season started really hurt him.
Yeah,
I was hoping that he would be, a big part of it. Or is it Grant Delpit? It was Grant Delpit that went down. I think Greedy is the one that's all right. But yeah, go ahead.
We're about halfway through here. Yeah, let's get
Colts Jags.
I mean,
so
we can get through this one really quickly.
Say it in unison. 1, 2, 3. The Colts.
Yeah, the Colts. Like the Jacksonville is they're another one of the teams tanking for Trevor.
Jacksonville belongs to Gardner Minshew. His jorts, his mustache and his aviator glasses, baby. No,
Trevor Trevor Lawrence better hope the Jacksonville Jaguars don't get the first overall pick. There's not a lot to break down. They let every one of their good players go in the past 12 months. And the Indianapolis Colts, they got better. They got Phillip Rivers at quarterback. They've got Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, possibly the best offensive line in football. T.Y. Hilton is supposed to be healthy again.
also, side note, the hype wide receiver wise, because the Colts have been looking for like any type of wide receiver production for the past like 20 years since um Marvin Harrison and Ronnie. What the fuck? Why did that name just escape my mind? What?
Reggie Wayne?
Yeah, what the hell was that? Holy crap, man. I just watched a podcast with him in it too. By the way, Brandon Marshall apparently has like a podcast where he just circles up with like 6 NFL vets and they just talk about shit. I don't know what his deal is and what happened with him situation wise. It looks like he had another episode and it actually turned into like a legal problem. So that sucks for him. But yeah, they've been looking for like wide receivers for a long time now. Michael Pittman Jr. out of USC is supposedly the man with the plan. So pay attention to him. He's supposed to be like the number 2. He's supposed to be the slot receiver. If things shake out the way they're supposed to shake out. We'll see. Pay attention to him. Jonathan Taylor, supposed to be the tool man. He's supposed to be bringing the hammer mostly.
Yep.
When it comes down to it, they also have the best offensive line in the NFL, which of course is very, very good for the old man, Phillip Rivers. Oh, also one of my favorite linebackers in the NFL, the maniac himself, Darius Leonard.
Yep. The Colts are one of those defenses where
Forgot DeForest Buckner plays for them now.
Yeah, I was gonna say like they're the defense where if you ask NFL fan, they probably only name Darius Leonard, but they're strong on defense. They always will. They got a great head coach.
Autry is really good too. He was one of the dudes that they kind of got in like the quote unquote scrap heap. Autry, he's like number 90, plays defensive end for them. He actually, I think he had like 5 sacks last year, so it's decent.
So, not a lot to say on this game or the two teams. It's going to be the Colts, and if Jacksonville gets within 2 touchdowns, that'll be.
Oh man, you underestimate the wiliness because let's be honest, this is Gardner Minshew's second year in the NFL, but he's a wily vet at this point, as far as I'm concerned.
I saw Hunter. I keep wanting to call him Hunter Minshew. I saw Minshew play live last year.
He looks like a hunter.
I saw him play live last year in the London game against the Texans. That guy is not an NFL caliber quarterback. I'm sorry. Jacksonville is literally just tanking. I don't know. They're trying to lose so that their fan base gets mad at them and Khan can move them to London or move them wherever he wants. Let's get on to the next game because I think we're both taking the Colts here.
Yeah, we're both taking the Colts. Moving on, Raiders Panthers. This should be interesting. The Las Vegas Raiders, by the way, Teddy Bridgewater's first start since his time with the New Orleans Saints, but his first start as the guy, like the straight up guy. Like there's no help coming, Martin. There's nobody on the way. There's not a old Drew Brees waiting on his thumb to heal. It's just Teddy Bridgewater, Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, and some tight end that nobody's ever heard of. Also, Darius Sanders, a.k.a. Christian McCaffrey. We'll say this one comes down to the thing that really held the Panthers back. It really broke a lot of people's hearts last season, their lack of defensive presence, because guess what? Their defense got worse. Anytime you lose possibly one of the best linebackers of our time in Luke Kuechly, your defense has gotten worse. And there's nobody that's going to replace it unless it's like the next Luke Kuechly, which I doubt it is. I saw Tahir Whitehead is doing pretty good, but Tahir's more of a punisher in terms of like he be hitting motherfuckers hard. He also used to play for the Raiders, so should be a good game for him.
My take, Ashton, and I don't think I've heard a single person mention this, and this is the part of the show where I attack a star. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to be that good this year. I think he takes I think he takes a step back. A lot of his success.
Skip.
A lot of his success, I personally believe, was built around the fact that Cam Newton was his quarterback. Yeah, last year he was hurt at points, but still people had to give him the benefit of the doubt. Now you can literally zone in on Christian McCaffrey. You've got Teddy Bridgewater throwing him the ball. I'm not Teddy Bridgewater throws with gloves on his hands. I mean, come on, people. Are we really going to be getting behind a quarterback that wears gloves? But Christian McCaffrey, I don't. If I had the number one pick, and I told this in every single one of my drafts that I was in, do not take Christian McCaffrey first overall. He is not going to have a first overall, a number one player season. There's just something about it. I don't like the situation they're in. Um, and that also goes to the defensive side of the ball. They don't have the best defense, so he's gonna. I mean, if he's not already worn out after the season he had last year, and the amount of some people are saying he could get 400 touches this year, which is just insane. I'm just not that high on the Panthers overall. They're in possibly the toughest division in football this year, with the Buccaneers, Falcons, and Saints all being just fucking stacked. Um, yeah, mark this one as the Martin goes after Christian McCaffrey. I just don't see him repeating his season from last year.
First Messi, then LeBron, now Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Apparently, Christian McCaffrey's a GOAT. So
there
you go.
No, I wouldn't say he's a GOAT.
All right, man. I'm just saying, an elite company. People that Martin has gone after and bullied to play better. So expect Christian McCaffrey to go off for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. So the Vegas Raiders, not much to say about them here. No slander to one of Houston's own, but Derek Carr, highly conservative quarterback.
Yeah.
And you get highly conservative results when you do stuff like that. So
another team with the defense got a couple of question marks. No real star on the side of the ball. Jonathan Abrams finally back.
A lot of people banking on Max Crosby to come out here and ball out of control like he did last year. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Opposite side of the ball for the Las Vegas, which is going to be weird to remember to say. Their wide receivers. It's Henry Ruggs, and I couldn't tell you.
By the way, for as fast as y'all claim Henry Ruggs is, and I get it, he really fast. You also like that. The two things that I mentioned are in contradiction of each other. Highly conservative quarterback and really fast receiver.
Yeah.
Don't add up. Because it takes you airing it out there and kind of risking the ball a little bit, and Derek Carr doesn't do that. Yeah. Which, by the way, can help you win some games, because we've all seen what happens with the guy who's just willy-nilly with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You end up being Derek Carr's backup and Nathan Peterman, everybody. Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, Marcus Mariota was, but he's now on IR, so Nathan Peterman... Man. Yeah,
it's been a bad couple of years for Marcus, man. Like,
Agreed.
It's hard because he's a likable dude. Like, it really is. Yeah. Other note: Josh Jacobs is the hype du jour around the Raiders this season because he is has very little competition in the backfield, and 2 is a part of the receiving game.
Yep.
And that's not too common that you see that a part of a starting running back's profile. So bank on Josh Jacobs getting you those dual threat points, boys.
Yeah, Carolina, before we get to the pick, no fans this week, but the team's owner, who is a recently new owner because their last one wasn't he racist
David
or
Tepper. Yeah, he was sexually harassing.
Sexual harassment, yeah, that's what it was. Apparently he says, according to the Washington Post, that the team plans to have fans back in the stands by the end of the season. So we'll have to wait and see. This one's an interesting game for me to pick. Since I'm so down on Carolina, I'm going to go with the Raiders, but I'm not confident.
I'll take the Panthers.
Okay.
I have faith. I have faith in the man who's willing to air the ball out. Also, once again, big year for Robbie Anderson. For the 5th year in a row, big year for Robbie Anderson. We're finally going to get that one big year we've been talking about for half a decade.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on. Bears versus Lions. Hey, I'm not going to lie. I've never been more confident the Lions are going to win a game in 4 years.
Yeah.
So I'm banking on the Lions to come out here and get this one done. Big thing to take away from this one, if you're a fantasy person, Kerryon Johnson is the only guy in the backfield for the Lions that they trust that's probably going to get time.
Well, they picked up AP after he got cut by Washington, and apparently they're excited about him. But I agree with you.
Everybody's excited about when they get to meet an immortal.
Yeah,
I too would be excited when I meet an immortal.
The Lions could sneak their way into the playoffs. They could be one of those teams where
you reaching. We talking about week 1. Wow, your shoulder just dislocated instantaneously.
I mean, Stafford. This the year where Stafford finally stop?
Oh, hey man, hey, I stopped blaming Matthew Stafford for the things that go wrong in Detroit about 4 years ago.
Okay, but for me, I think I've liked what I've seen from the Lions. Matt Patricia, I the jury I think is still out on Matt Patricia as a head coach.
Oh, they about to bang that gavel pretty soon here.
Yeah,
So
true. But on the other
the
side, the other side of the ball, they're going up against the Bears that somehow Mitch Trubisky beat out Nick Foles for the starting quarterback position, which screams we don't want to admit we're wrong. um, but
I mean,
apparently
y'all just
he's
see us.
apparently he's
Okay, I mean, I'm
growing.
just saying, maybe he beat the man. Maybe he beat
Dude,
him fair and square. What you talking
there's
about?
no way Big Dick Nick is worse than Mitch Trubisky. There's no
I mean,
fucking way.
when you have a couple years of advantage in terms of an offense that has been reportedly very confusing,
Yeah,
maybe.
we'll have to see. The other thing is Chicago's defense. Remember, people were talking about them being the best defense in years before they fell
Big,
apart.
yeah, biggest problem with them is they had Eddie Jackson, who was a really good secondary player, right? They had a high quality secondary, but zero pass rush.
Yep. Which is
And
weird, even though they
so
had Khalil Mack.
they had Khalil Mack, and when you only have one, it's easy to block one.
Yep.
Now they have Akeem Hicks. Oh no, they have Robert Quinn. They have Robert Quinn out there. So hopefully he can pick up like he did last year when he was with the Cowboys on a contract year. And I think a lot of people are banking on that happening.
Yep.
That's weird because if you know anything about football, contract year,
that's when you show up.
Don't even count. Like,
Especially fantasy players know if you're making a decision between a guy that just signed his contract extension and the contract year guy, you're going, or at least me personally, 10 out of 10 times I'm going with the guy that's in a contract year than the guy that just got paid.
If you know, you know.
Yep.
Some dudes just so happen to peak when millions of dollars are on the line. I too will be running with a little bit more pep in my step every single day.
Jimmy Graham somehow still trucking away.
Yeah, he'd be trucking away on the sideline. Anyway.
Do you have any
by the way, the hype players, Tariq Cohen and David Montgomery.
Yep.
David Montgomery's second year. Can he fight for some of those reps versus Tariq Cohen? Probably not. Tariq is really good.
Yeah, Ashton, let's get your pick for this one. The Lions versus Bears week 1 in Detroit. Where's the NFC North real quick? The Lions' first 2 home games will be played in an empty stadium. They are going to reevaluate before their 3rd home game.
Motherfucker, if there was I wish I could pick the Tigers to win this game because this is trash on trash. I'll take the Lions, man.
All right, I'm right there with you. Like I said, I think the Lions could be the sneaky team that makes the playoffs this year. So
Galladay Jr., don't you motherfucking let me down.
Yeah, Marvin Jones, T.J. Hawkinson.
See, okay, there's another guy there, right? Him and Noah Fant. Those are the 2 guys to watch, like tight end wise this year. T.J. Hawkinson had like 1 good game last year. Noah Fant had like a couple good games. But at the end of the season, he became like the number 1 target for Drew Lock. Just something to think about. But yeah, moving on. Seahawks versus Falcons. This is going to be fun.
Yep.
Oh, man. Seahawks are my second favorite team. So, by the way, this is the point in the show where I tell you who my Super Bowl pick is. It is the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, we got Seahawks, Falcons. The way you break this one down, one team has a quarterback who's really good on paper, and the other one has a team – the other one has a quarterback who's really good on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I'm saying. Todd Gurley versus Bobby Wagner, middle linebacker versus running back. I take Bobby Wagner. If you've ever met me, Bobby Wagner is my favorite. I mentioned earlier in the show, Bobby Wagner is my favorite player in the NFL. I have faith. The Atlanta Falcons also did almost nothing to improve as a team.
Yep. Now, you took the words literally right out of my mouth, Ashton.
We have our fingers crossed that Kenneth Sheffield has a good season because we covered him in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for me, the Falcons hit the nail on the head. They let Austin Hooper go. They bring in Hayden Hurst.
By the way, if you did not listen to that ESPN Daily I told you to listen to a couple months ago about Hayden Hurst, about how the mental health battle he's been in for damn near 2 decades. Dude's been on a journey.
Yep.
Love that he was willing to come out and speak out against it because he used to be a severe alcoholic to basically make himself go to sleep and quiet the voices that were literally in his head. He played minor league baseball, went back to college, got drafted in the NFL, and is now playing for the Atlanta Falcons. It's crazy.
Yep.
Uh, just something to think about. That guy's got an amazing story, and I wish him the best. His team is not good.
Ashton, could you name the Atlanta Falcons backup quarterback?
Backup quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. Ooh, man. Is it Matt Schaub?
It's still Matt Schaub.
It's still
Schaubby boy,
the
he's still
legend,
going
the
strong.
legend, Matt Schaub has come full circle in my mind. I used to, he used to be the bane of every Texans fan's existence. But
Yep.
at this point, you got to respect the hustle, Marty. You got to respect the fact that people are still paying Matt Schaub all these years later. Also, remember that one game where he actually almost brought them back in a comeback effort,
Yep.
and people were just kind of like, does Matt Schaub? And I was like, that's how he got you. That's another year of Matt Schaub. It's like,
Yeah.
does Matt Schaub is Matt Schaub good? And I was like, that's how Matt Hasselbeck stuck around for so long, man. Remember that one time he played the Texans and they hurt was it Locker? Was it Jake Locker? They hurt Jake Locker, and I was afraid because I knew Matt Hasselbeck was good, and the other dummies in the bar that I was in were like, "Oh man, it's their backup quarterback." I was like, "Yeah, backup quarterback who's literally played in the Super Bowl."
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt, and they almost won that game. Anyway, go ahead.
For me, if the Falcons defense was kind of down last year, even though they've got some big names. Keanu Neal, I believe, but he
I was
tears
gonna say
ACL.
Keanu Neal is hurt. Is he still hurt, or is he healthy?
I believe he's back healthy. I'd have to go back and check. Dante Fowler on the edge, Deion Jones in the middle. They're set up for success, but it's going to come down to the coaching. Somehow the head, his name is slipping my mind right now, but the head coach of the Falcons, a lot of people were saying that he should have been fired last season. He's got his job for one more year, so it's a make or break year. Sometimes players step up for their coaches, sometimes they don't. We're gonna have to wait and see. The
Also,
Seattle.
side note.
Go ahead.
Side note. One of the most underrated linebackers in the NFL plays for the Falcons. Deion Jones is a fucking beast.
Yep.
Like, amazing beast, like linebacker. Sorry, go ahead.
No, flipping it over to the Seahawks side of things, they could possibly have the best offense in football this year. You got DK Metcalf 1 year removed from having what many consider a breakout year. Tyler Lockett's still there. They've got Greg Olsen, I believe, now at tight end. They've got they could challenge.
Oh, by the way, it's not gonna be Greg Olson's gonna be starting, but Will Dissly.
Oh yeah, Will Dissly
is the guy from just a year ago who was a yard short of getting that other win versus the 49ers. Dude's a beast. Dude's been playing really well. He's a good he's always in a position. Apparently he reads zones really well. So I mean that's a talent, especially for a tight end. You know how to read a zone well enough and sit in a hole in a zone. You can get like 7 yards before somebody else can adjust to where your position is on the field. It's wild. But Greg Olsen may be starting week 1 because of Will Dissly's injury.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So then Chris Carson and I believe who did they sign? Who did the Seahawks sign? Was it who the fuck is their backup?
Josh Gordon's coming back at wide receiver.
Yeah, Josh Gordon's back. But who's the running? Is it? I think it's Carlos.
Homer?
No, I think it's Carlos Hyde. Right? He went to Seattle, right?
They did get Carlos Hyde. Yes.
Okay, so we've got Carlos Hyde is backing up Chris Carson, and that's a pretty good backup to have. Carlos Hyde's not somebody to laugh at. And then Russell Wilson, you said it. He is one of those players that when he gets on the field, magic happens. I mean, some of his highlights are highlights that get played just for the NFL, not just for the Seahawks or Russell Wilson. I mean, some of the things he's done on the field is just spectacular. And then defensive side of the ball, Jamal Adams is coming over to join possibly the best defense, at least over the past couple of years. And KJ Wright's, I believe, coming back for another year. Bruce Irvin's still there. I mean, the Seahawks are a team that just year in and year out recently are just they're a Super Bowl contender for a reason. And if we're going to be making a pick here, I'm going Seahawks, and it'll probably be close, but the Seahawks should handle Atlanta pretty handily.
Yeah, I'm going Seahawks on this one, man. We move on. We got 6 more before they call this one a Dunzo. 4 more on Sunday, and we'll run through these real quick. These are interesting. I'm sorry, we have 7 more. Dolphins versus Patriots. By the
Uh,
way, situation with the Dolphins, Ryan Fitzpatrick is starting.
yep.
In case you didn't hear, Fitz is
Apparently,
starting.
yep,
Devontae Parker's out there.
yep.
They have Jordan Howard as their running back,
Hmm.
and the tight end is Mike Gesicki.
Yep. Miami apparently, from all accounts, got better on the defensive side of the ball, which is, if I mean, obviously the offense wasn't too great last year, but the defense for Miami was at some times atrocious, and at other times they were actually not that bad. And then towards the end of the season, it seems as if though they kind of figured it out. And then you go on the other side of the ball, you've got New England losing the GOAT, bringing in Cam Newton. By a lot of accounts, Cam Newton is um, a lot better than some of the journalists up there thought he was going to be, at least in the preseason or like the early practices. It
Cam
seems,
Newton. Newsflash: Cam Newton is good at football.
yeah, a lot of the players are kind of. One of the things that was interesting when they announced that he was going up there was would Cam Newton's style gel with the other players? And if you read the report, I believe it was N'Keal Harry said that
Nikhil Harry, yeah.
yeah, he is apparently in love with Cam Newton, and Cam Newton's just work ethic
I
and
literally
everything.
love Cam Newton.
Yeah, like it is. Um, the New England Patriots. Everyone was saying they were going to tank for Trevor, but I mean, again, the Patriots are the Patriots until they prove that they aren't the Patriots anymore. You know what I'm saying? With the next man up mentality type of thing that they
And
have, where they
Martin, for them to tank, it would require Bill Belichick to have to stop being 50 moves ahead of everyone at
exactly.
all times.
Yep. I mean, they could easily win the Super Bowl with Cam Newton at quarterback. I mean, he's proven he's a Super Bowl contender. If he would just have fallen on that fumble, he might not have had his reputation might not be so tarnished as it is today. But Miami, if we're gonna pick these two, until Miami's another prove it to me, I'm not gonna pick them until they prove they are um, a lot better than they were last season. So, and I'm surprised Tua's not starting. Maybe they're waiting
I'm
for the
not.
first home game.
I've maintained this mentality that Ryan Fitzpatrick is the worst thing to happen to any rookie quarterback ever. He shows up at some point. He's taking your job, bro.
Hmm.
Like, there's never been a time that Ryan Fitzpatrick was not a threat for the starting job. Just saying.
Yeah. An interesting fact here, I'm reading from the Washington Post. No fans for the Patriots, but they're exploring a pod type system which would put fans clustered together in groups in different parts of the stadium
Don't worry,
eventually.
guys. They got a T-shirt gun for the dildos that can shoot those into the stadium.
Yeah, if we're making a pick here, give me New England.
Yeah, man. I'll take the Patriots
Yep.
on this one, man. I believe in Cam Newton, and on top of that, like they have Julian Edelman and N'Keal Harry,
Yep.
and James White is still a really good running back, and Sonny Michel, maybe not. But anyway, I still believe in them, and honestly, man, they may take a step back defensively, but they could also make up for that offensively with the kind of versatility that Cam Newton brings as a football player, man. I honestly think this is a great year to have Cam as a quarterback, mainly because let's be for real, like Julian Edelman is one of the best wide receivers that Cam has ever thrown to,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And there's not really like a Steve Smith Sr. That's it.
Yep.
Nobody else. Steve Smith Sr. and Julian Edelman. That's it.
And a huge prove it year for Cam Newton. How many teams didn't want to even offer him a tryout or a contract?
And
So
if
I
you know
mean,
anything about Cam Newton, he is powered by hate,
yep.
Jesus, and fly, and
Yeah.
being just that fucking fly.
All right, let's knock
Um,
out these the
Oh
afternoon
God,
games.
I'll be asleep. I'm just kidding. These are 305 and 325 games here. Sorry, there's only one 305 game. It is the L.A. Chargers taking on the Bengals, banking on Kenneth Murray to come out here and get us a sack versus this schlub Joe Burrow. Got to watch out here for the Bengals. Not only Joe Burrow, of course, but keep your eye on T. Higgins. See if he gets out there on the field. He's a Clemson wide receiver, which means he probably knows how to kill NFL defenses
Have
in
the
some way, shape, or form.
sorry, have the Chargers announced who's starting? Is it Tyrod
Yeah, it's
Taylor?
Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, it's Tyrod.
Okay. I
Yeah.
hadn't seen if they had announced.
You thought they was gonna put Justin Airbearer out there like there. You
Did
gotta earn it. You gotta earn it, dog.
you never know.
Also keep your eyes with me right here, guys. Right here. Keep your eyes. Hunter Henry.
Yep.
Hunter Henry. Coming off injury was really good when he was healthy in terms of like stats and yards and stuff like that. Also, y'all gonna have to stop disrespecting Keenan Allen.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I understand what. I mean, obviously he doesn't have the best quarterback throwing to him. I mean, Tyrod Taylor has proven that he can make can make wide receivers relevant. So, especially in fantasy. So the fact that Keenan Allen was falling to the 4th, 5th, 6th round this year simply because he's got Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert throwing in the ball, that's just a disgrace. He's one of the best route runners in the game. He's like an older version of Mike Evans, and people fucking gush over Mike Evans. And he's also got a solid number 2. Mike Williams is still in
Yeah, man.
LA.
If Mike Williams can keep his back
Yeah,
aligned,
true.
because like that guy, I can't imagine the kind of pain he's in. Because if you remember his rookie season, he had an epidural, which is what they
Yeah.
give pregnant women before they slice them open and remove babies from their uterus.
Yep.
It is fucking wild. It's just gonna be a thing for him. Like it's just gonna be a thing for his entire NFL career. But yeah, Mike Williams actually had a couple games last season where he popped, and that's when the Chargers offense was able to hang with a ton of people until the last like 2 minutes of the game. So, yeah, I hopefully Mike Williams will be healthy. Other guy, of course, the big guy to focus on here that could help out Tyrod Taylor get kind of smooth in the offense, Austin Eckler.
Yep.
Receiving running back is always going to be a big help, and a good tight end will go a long way. All the tools for success are around Tyrod Taylor. And I will say this, if you saw the team he dealt with when he was with the Browns, and you saw the teams that he had to deal with when he was with the Bills, this may be one of the best equipped teams for him to be able to go out there and win a game.
True.
That he's ever played on. So
other side of the ball.
To see how that goes.
Yeah, other side of the ball. Not a lot to say about Cincinnati. New quarterback in town, Joe Burrow. Can he have? If he has half the success he had at LSU, Cincinnati's in for at least a decent year on the offensive side of the ball. But I can't tell you a single defensive player for Cincinnati. I'm gonna have to open their depth chart here for a second. Hold on, let me scroll down. Oh, DJ Reader. So that's where DJ Reader went. Geno Atkins is still there.
DJ Reader, Kenneth Murray. No Derwin James this season. He tore his Achilles, if I'm not mistaken. So that's disappointing. That's one of the best safeties in the game, and he's going to be missing. I think this is like 20-plus games all total together because he missed the last – oh, man. I want to say he missed like the middle portion of the season because he had to get a screw put in his foot. Mm-hmm. I want to say he missed like 6-7 games. So it's pretty bad. Yeah, man. Chargers. What do you got here, Martin?
I mean, I have Joe Mixon in my main money league, so hopefully the offense clicks for the Bengals. But
somebody didn't look at Joe Mixon's running stats last year.
Oh, I saw it. Trust me, I just I ignored it.
Looked away. I chose to not use that information in my decision making.
Yeah, I'm making my pick right now. I'm going Chargers. This one, I mean, it should be easy. Should be easy for them, but who knows? Maybe Cincinnati. They're that team that just everybody laughs at just about every year because even when they were making the playoffs, they were just meh.
You're getting your desire for Joe Burrow to succeed mixed up with the Bengals being good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's a lot of people that are like, I like Joe Burrow, so like obviously I want him to win. I was like, nobody, guys, both of those things can be true. Mm-hmm. Only one of them has to be important to whether or not the game is going to go a certain way.
Yeah, so let's keep going. We've got we're an hour away from the NFL season kicking off. We're almost done with our picks and breaking down the games. So Ashton, who we got next on the list?
Cardinals 49ers. I'm gonna call the upset in this one, man. Cardinals.
Yep. Anybody that has talked to me about fantasy or the NFL in general the past month knows I am all in on Arizona. I don't care if they had one of the worst NFL defensive teams in NFL history last year. I am all in. Give me as much Kyler, DeAndre, Kenyon Drake, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk that you can give me. We've been snorting NFL lines all day. Hold on. Oh, I'm all in on Arizona. Whew.
All right, cool. By the way, don't forget, guys. One of two things happens if you I think what is it? So one of two things happens if you're one of the two teams to make it to the Super Bowl. Only one of you makes it back to the playoffs, or neither of you
Mm-hmm.
make it back to the playoffs. Interesting to see how that goes. Vast majority of the time, that's how it shakes out. 49ers definitely look like they could be a letdown city here pretty soon. But I'll take the Cardinals on this one, man. It's a divisional matchup, and they were one of the few teams that were able to give the 49ers the business last year. And maybe Cliff Kingsbury, with a couple more weapons and a little bit more information here or there, can cook it up a little bit. Moving on, the Buccaneers take on the Saints. It's Tom Brady versus Drew Brees, which is, whew, hits you kind of. You want to talk about snorting football? Oh my god!
And it's 2
Uh,
games this year. Like,
yeah, it is, and it's two of the old stalwarts of the NFL, and two of the most talented to ever play the quarterback position. It'll be interesting to see how this one shakes out. They will be in New Orleans, but there will be no fans.
mm-hmm.
So the Buccaneers off the top here, man, you look at what the team is across the board offensively. The biggest question mark has to come at the running back position, but as we all know, as far as we know right now, Ronald Jones the second is the dude. All these other cats, LaShawn McCoy, Leonard Fournette, they got to beat him out. And if there's one thing that Ronald Jones has on his side that those other two guys do not, youth.
Yep.
And at the running back position, that goes a long, long way. So yeah, Buccaneers versus Saints on that one. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski. Defensively, one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. One of the highest DVOAs, which is of course a metric that compares your defense to other people's defenses, depending upon the difficulty of your opponent, but like based off of like week to week. Anyway, the Buccaneers take on the Saints. The Saints are a team that is always in the mix to be a Super Bowl contender, right? Biggest weapon that they have on their side, Michael Thomas, and biggest offensive weapon, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Do not forget Emmanuel Sanders is on this team.
that was one. When I was talking to somebody, I can't remember who it was, in my main money league, and they were like, "Oh, the Saints' offense got worse." I was like, "Got worse? They have Emmanuel Sanders, and he's not the number 1 wide receiver. Like, how do you think they got worse by that?" But I think he might have read too much into the Alvin Kamara wanting a trade, not wanting a trade too much. But the Saints, another team that's just going to be in contention year in, year out. And then Tampa Bay, something about Tom Brady and having 3 viable running backs. I'm surprised more teams. I'm surprised more teams haven't tried to copy that part of the Patriots' success. But for the Bucks to have any sort of, I guess I'll say, success again this season, their defense is going to have to step up a lot. How much of the TB12 factor is going to play into, like, there is certain players that you get on your team and you pick up your side of the game just because they're on your team, like LeBron James. LeBron James can bring out the best in some people. Tom Brady seems to do the same thing. If you're asking me to make a pick, I think Tampa Bay is going to go in the you have to prove it to me first before I can get on that ship, shall we say. So I'm going to pick the Saints.
Oh, Martin coming out here swinging. I like Pirates.
Okay.
I'll take the Rebel group here. I really was actually, you know what? I'll take that back. I like the Saints because I believe more in Sean Payton than I do in Bruce Arians. Anyway, that should be a good one. Also, kind of wild that that's a midday game.
Yeah.
And people
and not
are
a night
probably,
game.
oh no, we're all good. We're all in the clear because you know how it goes down here in Texas. When it's America's game of the week for Fox, it's always the Cowboys game. And luckily for us, who's on Sunday Night Football, Martin? The Cowboys taking on the LA Rams.
Yep.
So, oh, by the way, this is the part of the podcast where we say "fuck you, Skip Bayless." So,
do you want to? You can handle that because I still can't believe he fucking said it.
Skip Bayless opened his mouth and had a hot take about how he doesn't care that Dak Prescott is depressed over his brother's suicide. He said a lot of.
I will take a second real quick. It is September 10th. Today is National Suicide Prevention Day, I believe. So
of all the days to say this shit.
Yeah, just putting that out there. I think I might be national. It's even crazy that.
I think it is because one of my friends One of my friends
Yeah,
posted about
September. Yeah, it is.
surviving her attempt. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
World Suicide Prevention Day, Skip Bayless decides that's the day to say that
your
Dak
depression doesn't
Prescott.
matter
Yeah,
because we got to make this money and get these wins in these football games.
yeah, the Cowboys, a lot of Cowboys fans think this is finally the year that they can, even though they go into every season thinking they're Super Bowl contenders,
Hashtag fuck Dallas.
this is the year. If you've talked to a Cowboys fan, they think Dak is going to be the MVP. They think CeeDee Lamb, I hope CeeDee Lamb, for my fantasy sake, is the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Also,
Um,
H-Town, hold it down.
yeah, and then the defensive side of the ball, I don't know how they think that the defense got better, but they are all in on the defensive side of things. Flipping it over to the Los Angeles Rams, I think they've gotten figured out. I think that Sean Payton's or not Sean Payton, um, the Rams offense has somewhat been figured out. I think, especially from going to the Super Bowl last year. I don't know what it was. They just weren't the same offense.
It'd be wild
Um,
as hell if they got like a dual threat quarterback, like a real, truly dual threat mobile quarterback, because then they would be it would be wide receiver motion plus the potential of I'm gonna just take off and run this bitch,
yeah,
like plus like oh I have a running back behind me. So yeah, I think that's a big portion of it as well. Yeah, like you said, man, it's they keep having to dump talented players because they keep having to pay these elite dudes from 2 years ago at the Super Bowl, and all power to them for getting their money. That's the most important thing here to me. Like
hmm
I couldn't give a shit less if the Rams were good. If these dudes are out here scamming them for money, I'm about it. So I love to see people get paid, in spite of the fact that the team is not well run. Or it's wild how we're like 2 years late, like we're like 2 years removed from them being in a Super Bowl, and we're talking about their team not being well run.
yep.
Money was they gave money away like it was going out of style. Um, I mean, like, what else is there to really say about these cats, man? Like, they got rid of Todd Gurley because Todd Gurley has what is considered to be early onset arthritis, which of course is horrible
Yeah.
for a running back who is already in an immense amount of pain generally. And they had to get rid of his contract, had to get rid of his money. They got rid of Clay Matthews because they couldn't pay him. And now the guy to focus on Sam Bucam.
Yep.
Got to pay big time attention to for sure. Aaron Donald at the defensive tackle position. How far can the best defensive player in the NFL take you? In comparison to, oh, by the way, sneaky good guy here to pay attention to, Van Jefferson Jr. Played for Florida, supposed to be the slot receiver for the Rams this season. He's a Florida dude. Motherfucker's fast.
Yep.
So that's supposed to be the jam here. So check him out. Pay attention to him in this game. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, especially with the lack of depth from the Cowboys secondary.
So before we get to the two Monday night games, Ashton, who are you going with on Sunday night between Dallas and LA Rams?
Cowboys.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know we say fuck Dallas, but if we're doing a pick, I'm picking the Cowboys to beat the Rams.
Yeah, I
Unfortunately.
take the Cowboys on that one, man.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it out loud, but
Yeah, I mean, it is what if it's just down to pick them, is we can talk shit on them all we want, but I think the Cowboys at least are better than the Los Angeles Rams. Uh, Now we move on to Monday Night Football. Ashton, we've got two games. The early one between the Pittsburgh Steelers and some fucking how, the New York Giants made it into a primetime game.
So Martin, I know you're thinking about it in terms of current circumstances. I'll give it to you in terms of the money circumstances. The Steelers are the most successful franchise in the history of the NFL. They have the most Super Bowl wins. They have the biggest fan base, because I can tell you this right now because I remember Christmas Day here in Houston, where I went to them playing the Texans, and it felt like I was in Heinz Field. Like, it didn't feel like it. I was completely surrounded by Steelers fans. Yep. So that happened. Plus, the New York market is literally the biggest in the country. So that's literally number one in America in terms of like market. This is the biggest fan base in the country, most successful franchise in the country, plus the Giants, number one market in the country, with all kinds of hope and giddy and glee that Daniel Jones will be the Eli Manning of their dreams, right?
Yep.
Ben Roethlisberger's back. they're gonna tell you that about 1,000,000,001 times. Don't watch his documentary special. I will say, dude, to watch in this one, Deontay Johnson.
Yep.
Because if the lineage holds true, Deontay Johnson is about to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Also, sneaky thing, person you forgot is on the team, but is definitely on the team still. Definitely on the team now, Eric Ebron.
Yep.
I know everybody forgot where he went, but yeah, he went from the Colts to the Steelers, and he is their number 1 tight end. Running back wise, James Conner's back, which hopefully means that he's going to be back healthy 100%, 1,000, 10,000, 100%, and also not subjected to possibly catching COVID-19, because if you recall, he's a cancer patient and who is in remission, thankfully. Hopefully he's going to be safe and taken care of this entire season. I also, remember Benny Snell Jr. is the backup. He's important there. He got a ton of carries towards the end of the season. Their defense was, if they can play any kind of defense that they played last season, plus like a Pittsburgh Steelers offense led by Ben Roethlisberger, I hate to say it, that boy Ben is good, man, and they back at it. They're back at it like they never left. I guess the Ravens are going to have to be a wild card team this year.
Ashton, you took a second earlier to let everybody know your Super Bowl pick. I know we've been doing cocaine. Wow. This one, I need to apply a little bit. Let's get my vein ready. Let me get the Pittsburgh Steelers meth. Put that needle right in there. Oh, give me all of the Steelers defense and offense. Give me everything about Pittsburgh. I'm all in. I'm picking them to win the Super Bowl. Big Ben is back. James Conner, Juju Smith, Deontay Johnson, James Washington. That's just on the offensive side of the ball. Let me flip it over. We got TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, Devin Bush, Bud Dupree, Joe Hayden, Mika Fitzpatrick, everybody is still a Steeler. Remember that. Terrell Edmonds. I mean, just give me all of the Steelers. If Big Ben stays healthy,
you gotta be feeling disgusting right now,
dude. If Big Ben can be healthy for all 16 games in the regular season and the playoffs, the Steelers are going to be lifting that trophy at the end of the year. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
That's wild, but to your point, it makes sense. Last one on this one, Monday Night Football okay, now we can start asking questions, Martin. Monday Night Football, the second of the doubleheaders, which is supposed to start at 9:20 at night. Holy fucking shit.
Yep.
That's rough for some of you guys. That's going to be rough for some of you guys. Titans versus Broncos.
Yep.
I don't even want to know. Like, I get it. The Broncos have like a long lineage and they have really dedicated fans. There's no doubt about that. And the Titans are like the new kids on the block. And this could seemingly be a layup for the Titans versus the Broncos. Drew Lock still developing as a quarterback and as a leader. He's got some guys that, they may be able to mix it up a little bit here. They got Cortland Sutton, who a lot of people for a long time have held as, not for a long time, but like the few years that he's been in the NFL, a lot of faith in him, right?
Yeah, let me just...
go ahead, my bad.
Right before we started the show, Ashton, sorry, I just had to... Cortland Sutton hurt his shoulder. And they are unsure of how serious it is. He's going to have to get an MRI tomorrow. So for everybody out there who drafted Cortland Sutton or maybe kept him in your keeper leagues, we're actually nobody knows how serious it is. So just putting that out there really quick because I saw that like literally as we went live.
Guess what that means, guys? It's time for Judge Judy.
Yep.
To come to play. Jerry Jeudy possibly moving up to number 2 wide receiver on the depth chart because he's slated to play the third slot wide receiver position. That'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Noah Fant, though, that's the guy to pay attention to here. Noah Fant is, based off of everything that happened last year, the key cog in the offense for the Broncos, especially when it's led by Drew Lock. The big thing to also pay attention to here, Melvin Gordon now plays for the Broncos.
Yep.
Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay, both guys. Melvin Gordon coming off one of the most embarrassing holdouts in the history of the NFL where he lost in like resounding fashion.
Yeah.
Because he was like, yeah, y'all see how good you are without me on the field. And they were good
fine.
Because Austin Eckler balled out of control. And then Austin Eckler got paid and Melvin Gordon barely got any reps for the rest of the season. So it was kind of rough. The other part of this, Philip Lindsay is in his second year after tearing his ACL, which supposedly is the period of time you need to be able to heal successfully from such an injury. And on top of that, like there's just a certain amount of loss overall that Philip Lindsay's going to have to face as a football player, and hopefully that's given him time to adjust to his new body and the way that he functions fully. Because the numbers say it's like around 30% lost production overall. 30% is a lot.
Yep.
That's literally like being like the best you can do on the test is a C. And that's a little rough.
Yeah.
So
the Broncos, unfortunately, they're getting hit with the injury bug. Bradley Chubb last year, he's barely coming back, and then they lose
right.
Von Miller for the season. Or Von Miller says he's going to try and pull a Kobe, and because they have very similar ankle injuries, and he's going to try and come back before the season's actually over. So we'll have to wait and see on that. And then I'm trying to pull up some more info on Sutton's injury. It looks as though 2 hours ago, ESPN reported it is a sprained AC joint in his right shoulder.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt.
So yeah, he landed awkwardly after making a catch. So that's
they got shots for that though.
yeah,
Don't worry.
they just can't catch a break right now. Drew Lock coming into another year as the actual starter now. I got to see him destroy the Texans live in December last year, and I remember looking over to my friend Justin I was at the game with, and we literally said this guy could be a legitimate NFL quarterback. And don't forget, the man's got swag. We all saw the viral video of him rapping to Ja Rule last year,
Yeah,
so you
I
know he's
don't
got it
think
in it.
that's not points. That's not points for me. I've already said it. That's not points. I couldn't. It didn't look like he actually knew the words.
Okay. Other side of the ball, Clowney is now in Tennessee, so that kind of brings their defense up a couple of notches. Mike Vrabel is still the head coach. I'm gonna I can't really say a lot of nice things about Tennessee. Obviously, they're a Houston rival, so I've got to take that out of it.
Yeah, I will say I'll give you a free one here. Their biggest deficit last year was their ability to get to the passer. Their pass rush was one of the worst that was left in the playoffs when the playoffs first started, right? And subsequently from round one on, they were the worst pass rush in every round that they made it to. It didn't catch up to them until later on in the season, right? It didn't catch up to them until the AFC Championship game. They went out there, they addressed the situation, they went and got one Jadeveon Clowney. That's a huge boost for them. It does not translate directly into sacks because Jadeveon Clowney's never been like a sack guy, but he's definitely been a run stopper plus pass rush type of guy, right, to help out with the situation. There's a couple of other guys that they're banking on really being taking a next step. It's A.J. Brown. They expect him to be a huge step forward. It is Jonnu Smith at the tight end position, who is a goddamn like a human Hulk type person at the tight end position, and they think he could be next level. So much of this season is hinging upon Ryan Tannehill
handing the ball off to Derrick Henry
last year.
Yep.
And don't forget how last year panned out for him. Last year panned out for the Tennessee Titans, where Ryan Tannehill ran out of juice at the back half of the season. And it wasn't because it was the playoffs. It wasn't because passes weren't open. Ryan Tannehill ran out of juice. Do you believe that he can go out here and do what he did, that 10-game sample size, plus those 3 playoff games last year in the regular season, and pick up like nothing has ever fallen off? And I think that's where the interesting wrinkle starts to come into this game, because so much of this season is going to be focused on what Ryan Tannehill is capable of doing.
Yeah, they have the right pieces in place. It's just going to come down to what is Ryan Tannehill more of a Kirk Cousins, or is he somebody that can take the next step? And last year he was sort of don't win the game, or it was more of don't lose than win the game. Just give the ball to Derrick Henry. But Derrick Henry is a freak in nature, but at some point all these carries have got to catch up to him. And it's going to be interesting to see how Titans do this year. They've got 2-3 receivers. I mean, AJ Brown, Corey Davis. Looking at the depth chart here.
Corey Davis.
Okay. Well, and then Adam Humphries is apparently on their team as well.
Do not believe in Adam Humphries.
And then their tight end, who I believe it's in the league that we're in together for the show. I believe I took Jonnu Smith in that league, and it was mainly because I forgot to draft a tight end. Um, but
Yeah, Giannu Smith has he's a huge physical presence. So that when it comes down to the red zone, he actually is like a huge threat. If you recall, he scored like a back-breaking touchdown versus the Ravens. It was like the DB initially had it and then he yanked it out of his hands. That's something to build upon. You know what I mean? That's
yep.
something you can. Those are the building blocks to a successful offense. Defensively, man, they may have taken steps forward. A lot of those Titans fans hate Malcolm Butler, but dude started playing a lot better towards the end of the season.
Uh,
And
yep.
sorry, that's all I got to say on the Titans there, man. I will take I'll take the Titans. Take the Titans in the win.
Give me Denver. I think Denver. I don't know why. I mean, probably a Titan hatred, but I think Denver, even without Von Miller, their defense is in a good spot. Drew Lock, I think, is a better quarterback than Ryan. Should I finish that sentence? Drew Lock looks like he could be a better NFL quarterback than Ryan Tannehill.
Famous last words.
And we'll have to wait and see on that Cortland Sutton injury, Ashton. But that is our NFL picks. That's our NFL
And
breakdown.
Martin, we've gone on for 3 hours,
I
man.
know.
Definitely gonna have to just get you to look at the list of the UFC nicknames.
I can.
And
Yep.
and we will just tweet it out.
Yep.
So you don't have to.
I was
We
literally.
we started the podcast early because we wanted to have enough time before the game started, and
Yep.
now we're like 30 minutes away.
30 minutes away from kickoff. So yeah, I can
Yeah.
tell the listeners two people that I will be picking. King Bobby Green, he is going to be my pick in his fight, and then so shout out, we got another first. We end the show on another first. Can't believe we're saying this. For the first time ever in the UFC's history, a black woman is going to be headlining a main event. Angela Hill. I'm sorry, I can't pick you though. You're going up against a karate hottie, Michelle Waterson. It's still no simp September, Ashton. So I'm not going to stand here and simp. I'm just going to say Michelle Waterson's nickname is the karate hottie for a reason.
She's
So
pretty vicious.
those are my two picks that I know off the top of my head. We'll have to go in through the list and we will tweet those out. Make sure to follow Ashton at FB_playbook. Follow the show at Broke Boy Pod. Follow me at Martin Pape _. Follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Broke Boy Sports. Look us up on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, a plethora of podcast servers, whatever, hosting of podcasts. Ashton, we somehow went 3.5 hours.
Not 3.5. Pretty close to it though. Thrive. Make sure you download the Thrive Fantasy app. Use the promo code BrokeBoy. They're matching it 100%. You have to put a minimum of $20 in and a maximum of $250 in. So if you put in between that range, they will double it for you to have all the money to bet on props, to bet on touchdown only situations, do daily fantasy. On top of that, esports as well. Esports still rolling on, man. So check all that out. Martin, if you got nothing left to say, I'll say the last thing here on the podcast like we always do. Make sure you wash your hands, wash your ass as well. So wash your whole body and stay home, Roger.